was trying to get these to get my own promo code so I can get them a little cheaper because they're nice.
Click the link and go shop now and get them!
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 361 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney. From our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. How's it going, everyone? We had a barn raising in the NHL this weekend, another insane Connor McDavid goal, a controversial scratch from Dallas, and it's Thanksgiving week for the boys in America this week. So, Grinelli, let's go to you first. What are your big plans for Turkey Day?
You mentioned Thanksgiving week. My first thought, it's Black Friday week. We got Cyber Monday. I've been working on this stuff for over a year. Biggest week of the year for me. We're all repping the gear right now, so we'll get into some of the stuff I've been working on for later, but I'm excited. Big week ahead for me.
The Chiclets elf. Just working away in this Santa's workshop.
Fuck off.
Just putting these Cyber Monday and Black Friday sales together. Thank you very much, G. Some of the ugly sweaters turned out amazing. I
Is that supposed to be me on that one?
No, skiing?
Yes and no.
No. I'm the skier on the podcast when I went to Aspen.
What are you talking about, bro? I've skied more than you in the last 5 years. How many times you been skiing?
I don't know.
Table skiing sweater.
You're the skier on the podcast, dude? Maybe in the bar. I've never actually skied more than I have in my last five years. I'm the skier. So it looks like me, kind of. So what do you mean yes and no, G?
Well, I would say I am the skier on the podcast. I think I've skied
when was
more
the
than
last
all
time
you
you
guys.
went skiing?
over here.
When was the last time you went skiing?
You
ever go down a Black Diamond, bro?
I think you're
You got to
right.
have a height There's a height requirement to get on the lift.
I went to Plymouth State, baby. It was all skiing all the time, so you don't got to hit me with that shit.
Oh, yeah. Once you quit the lacrosse team, you
G,
can ski all year.
is that Witt's mic or his voice? I'm not really sure.
No,
what's
my voice is hoarse. My voice is
Well,
hoarse.
I think both went a little bit squeaky there. But as far as a skier, I thought after my trip to Aspen and some of those videos I sent you of me shredding the gnaw. The gnaw?
No.
What's it called? Shredding the gnaw?
Isn't it the POW?
Shredding the gnar.
Shredding the
What's
gnar?
What's NAR stand for?
Gnarly.
I don't know.
The gnarly. Gnarly.
Oh, gnarly.
G-N-A-R.
Shredding the gnarly?
Shredding the gnar.
Shredding the gnarly.
Oh, the gnar.
I thought that was
Shredding the
surf.
gnar.
That's what the cool guys call it anyway, where I was in
Biz.
Aspen on the perfect powder. But I would love to challenge you to some type of like downhill ski event. I think
Let's play chess while we ski down a hill.
Okay, chess is first, and then we'll get to the ski. We'll do a little Pink Whitney après ski, and that's kind of what the theme of the sweater was. What else were we talking about right before that?
RA was doing the intros.
Okay.
I was talking about Thanksgiving, and Biz, actually, I was wondering, do you do, as a Canadian in America, do you celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving in October and then do it again in November?
Yeah, there's a bunch of Canadian guys around, like Ray Whitney lives around the corner, the top tier Whitney around here,
the cup winning Whitney,
like Donor and a bunch of hockey guys. So there is one. I don't think it's celebrated as intensely as the American one around here, but I usually just kind of treat them both the same, where I don't go full-fledged on the dive-in. I might eat like somewhat shitty for the day, but I just I don't know. I don't really get too consumed in either of the holidays. I know when, like, Whit, do you have like 20 people event to go to on Thursday?
We're hosting.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah,
who'd you hire for a cater?
Pardon?
Who'd you hire for a cater?
My wife will put a fucking shank in your neck for even saying that. All right.
That's just you. I love Brie.
Who would I hire
Ding,
for a
ding,
cater,
rough and
bro?
rowdy. Let's get a rough and
We're not
rowdy.
all going to Boston Market for our Thanksgiving dinner, all right?
I got an 18 bird.
I'll tell you this right now.
In the fridge.
I'll tell you this right now. Thanksgiving is a top-notch, top-titty holiday.
Oh, yeah.
I love July 4th. I love Thanksgiving. I love Christmas, but Thanksgiving's probably the top. So we're hosting. We had a monster party for Wyatt's first birthday party Saturday. Mini pony for the pony rides for the kids. A petting zoo. Dude, they had these bunny rabbits swaddled like you swaddle a baby. None of you three morons would know what swaddle is. It's when you really wrap a baby tight. The bunny was there was 3 different bunnies 4 days old, swaddled so the kids could hold them. There was a pig you could pet. There was a little mini donkey that was like they put a stake in the ground, and then the leash was probably like 30 yards or maybe 20 yards, so it could kind of walk around the yard. And all of a sudden, it somehow lifted the. It got the thing out of the ground.
Snake out of the ground.
Yeah, so it started running away. Dude, I ran over it. Boom! Stepped on it. Stepped on the very last thing of the leash before it ran into the street. So I consider myself not only the proud father of a 1-year-old at his birthday party, but also saving the life of a mini donkey. So that was a blast. It was an absolute scene for a while. We had a bunch of great friends over. Little kids enjoyed themselves. Bouncy house in the garage. Actually, we all. I kind of just got caught here. We did get that one catered, all right. We did get that catered. But
you didn't blow it up yourself?
Thanksgiving's different.
That's how he lost his voice.
You didn't wrangle your own pony?
No, I was sick. This is like a flu game for me, guys. I'm grinding through this. You can tell. So we hired this company out of Peabody, Mass, Trash Bag, North Shore, where Grinelli's from. The Big Pig, unreal barbecue. They had ribs, steak tips, chicken, cornbread, all that. So the kid ends up telling me, he's like, I didn't want to tell you at the beginning, I'm a huge fan. Great job. I love the show. And fuck Stephen Che, that nerd at Barstool. I go, I know, he's such a loser, that kid. So he was on board with me there. But I'm ready for holiday week. I love Wednesday night. It's like a big drinking night, even though I'm not drinking. Stay hot wit. But I think I'll enjoy myself this week after tonight's episode, watch some hockey, and we got a sandbagger. We got a sandbagger next week?
Next week it's coming out with one of our guests today. We scrambled to get Zegras on. I mean, we had a wonderful time with him on the course, folks, but this kid has taken the NHL by storm this year. Still rookie eligible, so still up for the Calder. And we had to get him on after his stick tossing incident, following in his good friend Jack Hughes' footsteps. So there's a new wave, and it's undeniable. And I'm sure there's some old guys really, really upset these guys are chucking sticks in the crowd.
We don't though, like old.
You don't think there's certain guys in the league watching NHL Network in the fucking locker room being like, I'm going to fucking take this kid's head off for doing that?
No.
Do you think when we played there were guys, if they would have done that they would have said that?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you think it's the whole thing's changed?
I think it's that one generation that when we played, like the guys Mark Recchi's age, not saying Recchi would have been pissed.
Right.
That age, John LeClaire, Mark Recchi.
Okay.
I think maybe that level of guys would have maybe got pissed. But now the older guys were us then. Like I'm thinking like Blake Wheeler. I mean, he's not that old. But Getzy, I don't think Getzy was pissed, right?
I mean, he was on with us.
Speaking of Jack Hughes, he's back on the ice today, so that's great news for the Devils, who are still in the playoffs.
Still in the hunt.
Now.
Still in the hunt, man. I thought I was writing them off right after they lost him, especially early, and they've done a good job, man. They've been battling.
We have a lot of teams, Biz. Where we had some predictions that are incorrect on both sides that we'll get to today. So I'm looking forward to chatting it
Biz, we got to mention we have a pair of studs coming on today. Not just Trevor Zegras. We also have Vancouver's Conor Garland. We talked to him a few weeks back. Awesome kid, local kid. Me and Whit know a little bit. Fantastic interview. We got those coming a little bit later. So. Two studs. What else, Biz, did you have before we chug on? I cut you off there. Sorry.
No. I had a great day today. Did a little bit of yoga by the pool, a little breathing, smoked a big fat fucking J. The weather here is perfect. Just doing some deep breathing, getting ready and preparing for the podcast. Get a nice little glare so I don't have to put as much makeup on for TNT. I think people definitely, it was you by a landslide as far as how bad the makeup is.
Honest to God, I think you're such a loser that you complained about yours. Like,
no.
Talking about,
no, so the picture they used wasn't from the night that it was bad.
Oh, good job. Fuck. Well, that makes a lot of sense because I was like, what?
No. So, I'm going to try to get a picture of it. But, buddy, trust me, it was like when I used the thing after to take all of it off, I think I needed a full pack of dude wipes or whatever the wipe things you use to wipe your face off of the makeup. So, no. Yeah, I know that you were saying I was I know you went to Twitter and called me a diva for complaining about my makeup.
If that was the picture, you were. But if that's not the picture, then I stand corrected, buddy. I have no problem apologizing.
That's when I had the Gilligan suit on during the second TNT. This is when I called Murph an asshole. It was the first segment, so then after that one. But anyway, where was I? But just studying up on all this hockey we got to talk about, guys. There's a lot of great storylines, a lot of cool things happening. The fucking Battle of Alberta's alive and well. We're obviously on the full pulse of the league, so I'll hand it back over to you, RA, just other than the fact that I'm excited to get going here.
All right, well, we mentioned Turkey Day coming up. That means a big football week, so make sure you're ready for the tailgate and the victory party by grabbing some Pink Whitney. And if football isn't your thing, then simply head over to your local spot and make sure to order some Pink Whitney. It's the perfect shot for you and the fellas or the ladies. Enjoy some more Pink Whitney. All right, I mentioned the bond raising and the introduction. Well, the Islanders, after decades, it seems like, they finally got their new arena, a $1.2 billion on Long Island in Elmont, just next to Belmont Park. And then everyone's excited, the first game, and then what happens? This motherfucking COVID knocks about a third of their lineup out. They end up losing 5-2 to Calgary. They play again Sunday night, lose to Toronto 3-0. But I think we should talk about the new place first. I texted Frankie Borelli. He said this place is absolutely unbelievable. They have that kind of one bowl hole feature so you can see the entirety of the game wherever you are. And I don't know if you guys caught the piece from Wyszynski on ESPN. There's 17 bars in this building that you can visit. And he went to all of them during the game. To check out the scene. Dude, $17 a fucking beer in a can, $18 for wine, $19 for drinks. Like, not a surprise in this day and age, but those are fucking ghastly numbers.
There is a speakeasy as well, isn't there?
There's a speakeasy in there as well, which I guess if you're teling people it's a speakeasy, it's probably not a speakeasy. Yeah,
that's the new style of speakeasy. You tell everybody
Half
about
the Islanders fans can't even speak, so it makes no sense that they'd have a speakeasy.
That's how you get in. You grunt and mumble.
Fuck John Tavares, and the place just opens up for you.
You throw a snake at the door. You show up to the front door like Merles on our trips, and they let you in.
Speaking of that, Mush, he went to the Bills game. He's like, you got to hammer the Bills. I'm going to the game, which I should have been like, I'm going on the Colts. The Bills got trounced. I lost everything, so the mush continues. But EBR's been hot.
I was going to say, for those of you who don't know, Matt Murley comes on our trips with us. He helps out in the gambling portion. He's really been hot on his European picks, including the KHL, right, with the EBR crew guys.
Unless I'm tailing him. Every time I tail him in the KHL, I swear to God, the fucking bet loses. But Merle's has been hot in Russia. It's fucking obscene. Anyways, going back to the new arena in Long Island, they have a tavern, the Offside Tavern. It used to be a bar in Manhattan where all the Islanders fans went, so they sort of recreated it within the arena. And they used to have player-named drinks at the place in Manhattan. And I guess Lou said no player-named drinks, so it has to be team-named drinks. I guess he manages on that level, so they didn't want to name drinks after players because it detracts from the team. So only team-centric names, which is fucking hilarious.
The Barzal comes with a blowjob from a smoking blonde. What are some other ones?
Wow, shit, Biz. That's a great question. I wish I thought of that earlier. But how about a Matt Martin shot that just knocks you out right away? Right when you do it, you just fucking knocked out cold on the fucking floor.
Well, they should be the Pink Whitneys because of how soft they're playing right now. Whoa!
Hey,
tickle the balls. Tickle the balls.
Paul Mary has a drink, and a local barbershop just drops off bags of hair. You just gotta just chug a fucking pint of body hair with a little vodka on top.
Yeah, no, I like that.
The Russian goalies could tie in with some Pink Whitney. Obviously, the Russians love their vodka.
What's something that old people drink? Like real,
like a Manhattan.
Well, because their team's so old now, they should get like the Werther's original shot or some form of that.
Werther's,
dude, Werther's get a bad rap.
My grandmother used to have Werther.
That's an old person candy.
Yeah.
God.
Maybe like the ones on the Vegas Strip, the real tall ones that you put the beer in. That could be the Chara. The big tall boy.
Gonna say there was another funny tidbit to test out the team, the plumbing situation in the building. They had all the team employees flush at the same time, just to give the system a good run, and everything went through fine. But Whit, I don't know if
they're like, Donnie, you weren't supposed to take a shit, dude.
I was kind of pissed they didn't call me. And hey, Ira, can you plug this up for us so we can test it out?
It'd be like that. I don't know if you guys saw that viral video of that elephant that was constipated. And then the keeper ended up getting out the clunk that was like the dry clunk that was, and then all of a sudden, as soon as that came through, it was like,
where are you finding this?
It was ass juice just all in this guy's grill.
Smoked this afternoon, and then he Googles viral.
No, it's
clips.
No, it's been all over. I don't even log on that much anymore. I'm usually on and off, and even I saw it on a couple platforms. It was the comp. We talked about the elephants' hoses not too long ago. Now we got the constipated elephants. The king of the jungle.
Wait,
king
I
of the
had
clog.
read that when Foxborough Stadium opened. Did you ever go to the old one in Foxborough where the Pats played? The worst stadium in history.
Nope, never went there.
When they opened that, I was probably like late 60s, early 70s. They did the same thing. They did like a team flush to like test the system, and it flooded the whole fucking building, almost ruined the place, which is probably a perfect metaphor for that place because it was probably the worst stadium ever.
Is that like the boat version of breaking the bottle of champagne on the bottom?
Yeah, it might be.
Flushing all the toilets.
Just
Everybody flush at once. What's the grossest thing you guys ever seen in like an old arena, whether like minor leagues, like fucking NHL, wherever?
I mean, I played in some bad barns. I would say that by the end, I was kind of a little over Joe Louis. Just
Okay,
really?
yeah.
But just
Dude, I love those.
they used
their
that.
locker rooms their old locker rooms were great for the visiting
Okay,
teams.
you know what? Maybe I'm a little biased because they used to have those tiles, or not tiles, the towels that were they were like plastic
the
bags.
thin ones. Yeah, those were.
It was like you're just pushing the water around. Like, give us some
it's not
fucking,
drying you.
get us
It's
some
not drying
cotton here. That's all I care. I would have paid fucking 30% escrow. Can I just get some fucking towels that absorb the goddamn water? So, but I never had a real issue. Like if it would have kept going another 5 years, and or even to now, because I like the. What do you call the Boston Red Sox stadium? Wrigley?
Fenway Park.
Fenway.
Park.
Fuck, I always mix the two up.
Nah,
Chicago.
it's all right.
But those are two that I think that they'll, could you probably get more fans in Boston? Absolutely. But there's just the character and classic element to it. I don't think it'll ever move, right? It'll always be that stadium.
They had a window to build a new Fenway probably 10, 12 years ago, and if they didn't do it then, they probably never will because they decided just fuck it, put seats on top of the Green Monster. They just put more seats all over the place, and I don't think Fenway will ever go anywhere, to be honest with you.
Like even Mellon Arena. Oh my! I loved
I was going
it.
to say that once I visited Mellon, that was the worst. That was because the visitors' room. Remember the room?
Yeah, it wasn't very good.
I mean, I
I've been
also
there.
played one time there. I was with the Ducks. My first game back, I was -4. We got trounced. So it was like an awful memory for me. But that room was so shitty. I'd been in there during training camp one of the years.
How have we ever talked about the fact that the game you went back, not to put salt in the wound, but
I'd
not
only been -3 actually. No,
only 3? Okay, well that's a lot
not
better.
that's like
Yeah,
that
so-
much better, but yeah, we got trounced. I had a tough play on one of these blue line turnovers. I remember Jordan Stahl scored, I think. But that locker room was disgusting. The fact that that's where the Wings won the cup when I was on the Penguins and celebrated. Now, granted, you don't care if you're in a street alley celebrating after you win the cup, but just a horrific crime scene, Mellon Arena for the visiting clubs. Other one, you know what was gross was MSG before they redid it over. That locker room was brutal. I think one of the grossest things I saw was probably me throwing up in the stall at MSG when I thought I was going to be playing forward. I told this story. Terrian had been playing me at forward. I was playing so bad, but he wanted me for the power play. So then we played at home against the Rangers. We actually won in the afternoon. Then we flew to New York, and we didn't play till the next night. So I was like, I'm going out. I've been playing 4 minutes a game, fourth line forward, Bissonnette style. So I went out all night. I get to the rink. I'm actually playing D. I'm like, oh, no. I was so hungover after the warm-ups. I was in the stall, full uniform on, minus my helmet, throwing up everywhere. So that was disgusting. I ended up playing 21 minutes solid, though. I didn't have any points, but I was money. That got me back in the lineup. We ended up going to the Cup Finals that year. But that was gross. Another rink that was terrible.
You were puking like that other guy courtside the other day at the NBA game. Was that a MSG?
That was deranged.
Oh
That-
my goodness! I felt
guy-
so bad for the guy.
He wasn't already said it the other day. He wasn't even attempting to stop or anything.
I've never seen that before. I mean, I've been watching hoops forever. Like to puke on yourself at midcourt on the court and to not make any effort whatsoever. I don't know if the kid was that buckled or just
I think that
just letting people
I think
clean
there's
up.
probably an element to the fact that you're on an island at that point. And at that point the play had been stopped, right? So both benches are kind of having their chuckles about it. and you're just there puking. Like, what are you going to do? He probably went into a state of shock in the sense he's like, I'm going to be on dun-dun-dun, just like Mr. Log Roller over here.
He was like, I'm not leaving until the mascot cleans this up. You didn't see the mascot cleaning up the fucking dude's puke in the video?
No, I did, but did you get the sense that he was just kind of like, whatever, doing it, or stayed there and kept doing it the way he was because of the state of shock he was in?
He was fucked up. He was just hammered.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't even know where he was.
He was blacked out.
Yeah, that's a tough scene.
Dude.
That
It wasn't like he was just like sober, throwing up, like acting like that.
Well, you don't think at the point when he was throwing up he was like coherent, or do you think he's not going to remember a thing about all that?
Yeah, because
you should remember that maybe, but like when you're that buckled, I mean, I feel like you're just kind of like, what is happening? Like,
I guess I just never get that fucked up, so I guess it's hard for me to comprehend.
Like, there was no swaying, or like he didn't like look fucked up. Like if someone who's puking himself, like, you know, they're probably like putting their head down. Whatever. He was just sitting there, like there was nothing going on there. I've never seen that, but when I've seen the clip of the mascot over him up and up, that's when I lost my shit.
Yeah,
but
that's when you go in the next day and you ask for a raise if you're the mascot, just squeegeeing up puke. Now we were talking about the buildings, but yes, definitely nothing even close to Whit puking in the stall pregame at MSG playing hungover. Now, how were you up front on forward? Although you were only playing 4 minutes.
I was just chipping it out, chipping it in, off the glass.
Pretty good life,
out. Yeah, it was nice. I was like, this is what these guys do. Now, granted, I didn't have to fight, but I was like, this is fucking easy. I could do this hungover. That's why I said I'll go out that night with my buddy Bunzo. I woke up, I think I slept in his bed. I was like, where's my MSG? and I was like, I'm playing fourth line forward. A monkey could do this. And that's been doing it for 5 years.
Most valuable.
But granted, those guys.
Most valuable primate.
Shit. I didn't have to do anything. But then it was actually not bad because then we got a power play. I'd hop right over the bench and do my thing.
Yeah, but
that's right back.
That's got to be hard though, going from like just beating the puck up ice, beating it to a square, making sure it's in the corner, and then changing to then you got to start making plays all of a sudden. Like, did you?
But I was a decoy. It was Gonchar, Malkin, Crosby, Bugsy. I was a decoy over there.
I respect your honesty, Whit.
Thanks.
Biz, if your team was opening a brand new arena, a brand new locker room, what kind of amenities would you want in like a modern day locker room?
A nice big steam room for the boys after wins. Go in there with for me, Jans. Who would usually come in? Gordo would come in. We'd have Sammy Lapisto. We have at least 2-3 beers after a nice Saturday win at home. But our steam room at the Coyotes facility could fit like 5 guys comfortably, maybe. So if you could get a nice big steam room that would be probably my first ask as a fourth line peasant, as you mentioned just previously there.
Yeah, steam room's definitely big. I think it'd be cool to somehow make like they have I've been to a bar where when you're pissing, it's a one-sided mirror so you can like look out at the bar while you're pissing.
That's creepy.
Well, no, but people are in the bar looking at a mirror, but when you're pissing, you can see what's going on out at the bar. So if you were somehow able to figure it out where as you're pissing in the locker room, it's actually like you can look out in the crowd, see what's going on, intermission and stuff.
I like that.
That'd be decent.
I like that.
Just something to liven it up, give you something to talk about. Maybe you noticed a girl during the game and she's still sitting in the seat intermission, you get to piss, you're still looking at her. That's a little awkward, I guess, now I say it out loud. But I don't know, man. I was reading that the locker room and the weight room and the whole players' facility at the new UBS Arena is like out of this world. I'd actually love to check a game. They were my pick. We can get to the Islanders. They were my pick to win the Stanley Cup. Holy shit, did the Whit mush work. This team's pathetic. Pathetic. Now, granted, COVID's ripping through them. And in taking my cup picks side, I am a little confused as to what makes Ottawa get games canceled and the Islanders don't. I don't know if it's the exact same number of players that have been out because of COVID, but there was enough where I was kind of like, is there a chance they do this? But my issue with Islanders fans and the team is like they're complaining about the 13-game road trip to start the season. Your fucking arena wasn't going to be ready in time. That's not Gary Bettman's fault. That's not the NHL's fault. That's your construction company's fault for sitting around. Probably
they were waiting on the speakeasy. They had to put the finishing touches
on the jazz band to build the speakeasy. But that is not the league's fault that your arena wasn't going to be ready in time. And they had a great start to that road trip, mind you. They lost the first 2 games of the year, then they started rolling. They beat Winnipeg. They played nice, and then it just fell off. Like, granted, it completely fell apart. Then they get home, and the COVID's definitely like, how are you going to win games with that many guys out? But let's not forget that at that road trip, when they still had guys playing, they looked like shit at the end of it. So they got to get it figured out. They still have plenty of time to get this thing turned around. Over 60% of their games will be home games now for the rest of the season. They're going to get these guys back healthy. They need Pelech and Pulak back ASAP. Two of their top 2 defensemen. They play the most minutes. Pulak runs the power play. They're the shutdown pair. They need those guys. And to look at the effort that they had against the Leafs, horrible on the power play. Oh, my God. Marner gets that beauty shorthanded goal, sick pass from Muzzin, and that was all she wrote. Like, they had no chance to come back. So I know that the Islanders fans are looking to blame anyone but their own team, but Jesus Christ, you got to figure it out.
No tailgating at the new rink too, so they can't even get that mojo and that reek of smoke and booze coming into the arena that usually affects the away teams coming in. So I don't know. I think maybe the new rink, maybe a new brand of hockey. If I was Lamoriello, I would have had him in the Baza on the road for the 13-game road trip, doing check-in times with. So we'll see if this team can turn it around. But definitely an embarrassing start. And a team that for years and years you guys convinced me that you're gonna be that cup contender that we thought you guys were gonna be, and then all of a sudden you lay an egg, and then for Borelli to go complain about the 13-game road trip,
it was pathetic.
What was the stat when the last team that had a 13-game road trip at some point in the season? It happened to another good team coming into the year. Who was it?
2011, the Vancouver Canucks had a 13-game road trip because of the Olympics.
What happened?
And they won the President's Trophy, Biz.
Interesting.
So, 13-game road trip, Borelli's.
How'd the season end, though?
Well, I mean,
they went to the Cup final. Are you kidding me?
They went to the Cup final game.
Trolling. I know.
I know, but you're telling me that they can't even get over the conference finals hump, let alone get to the Stanley Cup final. Let's walk before we run here for these Islanders fans.
Anyways, you did mention Ryan Pulak, though. 4 to 6 weeks with a lower body injury after he blocked the shot. We also want to give a shout out to defenseman Andy Green. Played his 1,000th game last Monday versus Tampa Bay. He's really been able to extend his career on Long Island, Biz. They got him at the deadline a couple of years ago. He's latched on for another couple of years. Just a solid veteran you can depend on in a lot of situations.
Yeah, a good 5 or 6 now. Just a good steady guy, a Lou type player. And I was going to say, for the next 4 games, it doesn't get much easier. I think they got the Rangers twice. They got Philadelphia, who's been playing solid to start the year, and Pittsburgh, who's kind of turning it around now. But they're starting to get their guys back, and they're going to be hungry for wins too. And the reason why I'm not very confident in this Islanders team, I thought coming in is it the Central that was going to be the strongest division? I think that this division is taken over easily as the strongest, and especially at the fact that with the injury to Jack Hughes, you still even got the Devils cranking. So there's no easy games in this division. Night in, night out, it's going to be an absolute dogfight to the end. And maybe that's one thing that does benefit them, because nobody can really separate themselves. So who knows? We'll see. Next 4 games are going to be big, though, against some good teams.
And while we were recording last Monday, very festive game between Tampa Bay and the Islanders. Big Z and the Big Rig went at it. The 4th or 5th time in their career they fought. But then Biz's son, Joe Cirelli, he went after Brock Nelson. Nelson buried Cologne in the corner. Cologne was already engaged with the guy, so I could see why Cirelli took exception. He scrapped, and Biz, he did. He looked like you spit him out afterwards, the way his nose was bent and shit. And then after that, Tampa Bay rookie Boris Kachuk actually went after Big Z. I mean, Z gave him a cross-check right to the fucking face, but you don't see too many rookies going after a guy like Big Z. Pretty festive affair for a Monday night.
That's like the Svechnikov when you're like, oh shit, I poked the bear. He's coming now. Right, Whit? You're just the wires cross, and you're like, oh no, what have I done?
When Ovi one-punched Svechnikov?
Yeah, when you're kind of like, oh yeah? And then you're like, oh shit. Right in the face.
But I actually thought, he got in there, and, Chara looked so pissed off, and, almost when he got him down would have killed him if people hadn't jumped in there. But I respected the hell out of that. That kid, that takes a lot of balls to go after Zdeno Chara like that. And I don't know what started. I know Maroon and Big Z have fought before, but it was right off the opening faceoff of the game. And you could tell Maroon went in to play the puck, and Z just came in from the blue line and said, let's go. So I don't know. Maybe Z was just trying to get the team fired up. But
yeah,
good for Maroon. And Maroon, you could tell he's doing his best, but Chara's reach is so long. It's like when you think you're safe, you can still squarely connect right in your face. So he threw a body blow that looked like it could have broken a couple ribs. I don't know if Patty was okay from that one, but to square off with that guy, what a petrifying idea. Oh, my God.
That's why he keeps a little extra meat on the side there, Whit, so you can take those body blows. But that just goes to show Big Z, too. I know he's slowing down a little bit, and going back to the Islanders quickly, the overall, when they played the Coyotes, they heavily rely on that defensive structure because they don't really come out of it, and they don't really show flashes of a lot of offensive brilliance. They really have to rely on timely scoring and goaltending. But Big Z willing to do the little things, like now late in his career, like if the team's struggling like that, he's like, I'm going to go out there off the opening face-off, 24 years now, and I'm going to be the guy to try to set the tone because that's what I can contribute. That's the kind of guy he is. I think that's pretty cool at his age.
One additional note, Tampa Bay did lose Braden Point indefinitely with the upper body injury. He was tripped in Saturday's loss to New Jersey by Ryan Graves, crashed into the boards. They're already missing Kucherov, but Tampa's still humming along, 10-4-3, 6 points back of the division lead. They've got 3 games in hand, so see what happens there. But shit biz, with all those bars in one arena, Islanders fans better make sure they bring their DHM detox to the game because fortunately for them and the fans of the other 31 teams, No Days Wasted is having their biggest sale of the year. Black Friday is here with 40% off everything, and only for Chiclets listeners. The biggest sale they've ever had. It's perfect for gifts, stocking stuffers, and holiday parties. Biz, you love this stuff.
I mean, you
give it out
covered
at every wedding you go to.
You covered most of it. I've been handing out like candy. I actually had some the other night on the weekend when I was getting a little bit crippled. DHM Detox. That is the pill that kills the toxins of the alcohol before they get to your liver. It's under the No Days Wasted umbrella. They also have these electrolytes, the replenisher packs. They're excellent. I drink them day to day just to get that sodium, especially like after workouts and just to have my everyday minerals. But if you're drinking, guys, when you get home, put one of these in your water bottle, take it down, and you're going to wake up feeling way better, especially if you do like kind of like the combo at it with the pills, and even the next day in recovery from these, next day not feeling so great. So No Days Wasted, 40% off with the Biz20 promo code, right? It's the Biz20 still? Or Biz40?
Biz40.
Biz40?
Can't give Biz20 when it's 40.
Biz40 promo code for 40% off. Enjoy the holidays, Cyber Monday, Black Friday, whatever it may be. Awesome product, and that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah, they also have the vitamins, too. They sent a bunch this way, too. Sometimes you don't get your proper vitamins, so it's always good to have that, especially someone like me who avoids the sun. I need a little extra vitamin D. Can't beat it, man.
They have two gummy vitamins, and like they're just like hard to put down. I know you can't be like ODing on vitamin C, but they're very, very tasty, and they definitely make you want to take them every day.
And DHM Detox is 100% risk-free purchase on your first box, so if you don't love it, they'll refund you. DHM Detox is also now on GoPuff, so that means delivery to your house, a party, or the bar in 30 minutes or less. Just head over to GoPuff and search No Days Wasted. And once again, that promo code is Biz40 for 40% off, and the site is nodayswasted.co. That's nodayswasted.co, promo code Biz40. All right, boys, chugging right along.
Hey, quickly, are you buying or selling on the Islanders making playoffs, Whit? You think they'll make playoffs still?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
buying.
If you get to like end of December and they're still sitting in second to last or last in the Metro, I don't know, another month of this and you're in one. So they got to get these guys back healthy. The COVID guys should be back soon, but still, it's just it could become too big of a hole to dig out of. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 6 losses in a row.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is if you're going to tank or have a shitty stretch, it's good to do it early in the season because, if you fucking have a bad slump, you might only be 6-8 points behind. You got plenty of time to make it up. All right, meanwhile, across the river, the Rangers, Sunday night, we saw our head coach Gerard Gallant and Mika Zibanejad kind of jarring each other at the end of the game. After the game, Gallant said that he was telling Zibanejad, stop yelling at the ref. There were 0.4 seconds left when the Rangers scored, and there was a missed penalty call. So Zibanejad was giving it to him. Gallant was giving it back to him. And I guess after the game, Mika was, he was pretty jacked up during the game. He said they had a laugh about it afterwards. All good. But I want to ask you guys, have you ever had like a fuck you match on the bench with a coach like that in your career anywhere? Not that they were saying fuck you to each other, but you get the point.
I think
of it.
Biz and I were the guys. Had we said fuck you to the coach, it was just like, okay, sit down, you're done.
Oh yeah, I would have never.
I should say an animated discussion, maybe not necessarily fuck you bombs, but
I don't even think I did at
discussion?
I don't think I did at the ECHL level. I think like maybe in the OHL, in some frustrating times with the Saginaw Spirit, maybe. But no, never a full blown fuck you. I didn't, as Whit mentioned, we didn't have the power to do that. We would have been back down in the minors and or fucking at home waiting for a trade.
What about if you were on a new team and on your old team's bench staring at the coach? Would you tell him to fuck you then? And what? Of course, I'm referring to the picture of you in your Oilers uniform on the Ducks bench that we put on social media. What's the story behind that? That was hilarious.
I wish I had one. I actually have no clue. I must have got hit under the bench. That's my only explanation. Somebody ran me into the bench. I probably fell into the bench. Randy's face in that picture is so funny. Randy would always chirp guys on the other team. He was probably saying something to me, but at the time the picture was taken, he just looking at me in disgust. Like, I'm so happy this guy's getting off my bench now. He's not going to come back to the bench because he's on another team. But I don't know what that was. That was a game in Edmonton. Two struggling teams. They weren't good then. We weren't good. And I was stuck on the bench after getting buried. I'm guessing. I don't remember it, though. I saw that picture. I was like, what the fuck? I don't even know if I'd ever seen that picture.
Were you the guy, if you got hit by the other team's bench, would you kind of sell it where you would go in and make sure your stick was kind of getting mixed in there a little bit?
Try to take out some teeth as you're going flying into the opposing team's bench?
But just making sure limbs, you're just spreading out in their bench a little bit.
No, I don't remember that many times getting hit into the other team's bench. Maybe that was a common thing for you, but I don't remember that. I do know, though, that anytime somebody's stick came into the bench, you were immediately snapping it. You were doing your best to just snap the stick right in half. I actually think on one of the teams, somebody got a 2-minute for unsportsmanlike for doing that. But you'd spray the guy with water. You'd do whatever you can to piss the guy off.
You were a water squirter when the guys would have the draw right there by the bench?
Yeah, oh yeah. The winger's got his ass to you, just spray the back of his socks. All of a sudden, his calf's soaked. He's a little slower.
That would drive me nuts.
That was a water squirter. Guy turns around, I was like, wasn't me. What's this guy?
You'd have caught me in the shower. It wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
Well, what else we got for
Who was that,
talk?
Shaggy? The Boston Bruins schedule is something that's something we wanted to talk about. They got a disaster.
One of my biggest pet peeves with the National Hockey League.
Yeah, they have an absolute disaster to end the season. They've already had 2 huge layoffs. We're a month and a half into the season. They played on Sunday the 14th, and they didn't play again until Saturday the 20th. It's the second long layoff they've had already. And these aren't the bye weeks that teams get at all. These are just kind of anomalies in the schedule. But like I said, April is an absolute nightmare for the Bruins. 15 games in 28 days, 5 games in 7 days, including 2 back-to-backs. This is a team that's probably going to be, fighting to get into the playoffs or at least playoff position at that time of year. This is fucking brutal, boys. Is this just the Matrix biz doing its thing, or what? Like,
I don't know if they backload them because they don't want to compete with football. I don't know why they do that, but basically what RA is referring to is people ruffling some feathers about the scheduling and how condensed it gets towards the end of the season when not only are teams fighting for playoff spots, the game gets a little bit more intenser. Is that a fucking word? More intense?
No, it's more intense.
Mixed in with the travel and the physicality of the sport, like you're going to have guys worn down going into playoffs where Boston, twice now since the beginning of the season, they've had 2 week-long layovers. I think 1 6-day and then 1 7-day where that was their next game where, I mean, Christ, man, you throw 2 of those games on at the start of the season so these guys can at least get also in a playing rhythm and then not be log jammed after like having to do All-Star, Olympics, and then a playoff chase, and then trying to deal with all the consequences to having all those condensed games. Now, I also thought that they were going to do more of these 2 games in a row type baseball homestands after they did the bubble experience. I think from a marketing perspective, offer a package deal where they can go to both games. Let's say that a team travels into a town, or at least do it within division. Every time you travel to a divisional opponent, at least once a year, you stay there for like a Thursday and then a Saturday, or even a back-to-back. and the fans can maybe get tickets at a somewhat discounted price and then build it up, because it's all about how you do it. And from a fan perspective, Whit, we all know how those second games are, as not only players and as fans. And in an 82-game season, sometimes you're not going to have games with much emotion to them. So this might add more through a very intense schedule. And if these games are spread out accordingly, you're just going to have an overall better product on the ice. And in the midst of doing these 2 games in one city, you're going to save money on resources because you're not doing all these dumb logistical moves. So I don't know what the reason is for it. It's much like the thing we bitch about with all the television rights and stuff. But I think logistically the league needs to figure it out, not only for the players' purposes, but the marketing standpoint of it and the overall product of the league. I hope I summarized that properly.
Great job. You did. The Bruins have been pretty much utterly screwed by this, and it's almost the same argument that the Islanders fans are making, like 13-game road trip. Like, this might be worse. I know, as weird as that sounds, but if at any point in the season you can get a week-long break, let alone 2 of them, you'd love it in the middle or the end of the year. It's like at the beginning of the year is when you have energy, is most of the time when the team's healthy, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we don't even want these breaks right now. We want to be playing. I will say this, though, that I've always been dumbfounded as to how they even go about, and I know it's probably a computer system now and all that, but the fact that they're able, with all these arenas, or most of these arenas having basketball teams too, like, I don't even know how you fucking plan all this out, where you get the Celtics games, you get the Bruins games, and you go to Madison Square Garden, they got the Knicks and the Rangers. It's just like, to be able to figure out 82 games for both of those leagues with so many buildings sharing the ice and the court, it's a wild scenario. I'm sure there's probably that'd be a good little 30-minute like ESPN
60 minutes?
E60.
Yeah, 360, how they
Chiclets
make this
doc.
Yeah, who the fuck of us is going to do that, G?
I'll do it.
Explain it.
I'll count.
Do the doc about it. Biz will be like the guy Charlie from Always Sunny in Philadelphia with the things in the back of the chalkboard trying to connect the games. But it just sucks for the Bruins to end their season when by the looks of it, as I said going into the year,
yeah.
It's not exactly a great thing in Boston, and a very, very tough evening if you're a Bruins fan on Sunday, seeing former goalie Dan Vladar shut them out, who now I think is 5-0 with 2 shutouts, or is he 4-1? It looks phenomenal. They picked Swayman over him. Swayman has looked good at times. Allmark's been a little bit like, I'm at the point where I'd be pretty open in saying Bruins fans are probably missing Tuukka Rask a little bit, and to see a guy that you decided to get rid of in Vladar look this good for Calgary, and a team that does not give up goals, 7 shutouts through 19 games for that team. The Bruins are they're a one-line team right now. They got to get past the ability of that one line can score, and the rest of the forwards are having a tough time. McAvoy looks great. After that, the rest of the D are... So I think when you look at how good Detroit's played so far, and then you look at the Bruins and the step back they've taken, it's going to be, come April, probably a battle for them. Not to get in. I think they'll get in, but it's not exactly going to be like past Bruins years where the final month of the season, you're just jockeying for position. It's going to be a fight. So now they got to deal with a lot of games. And, you got to think Bergeron and Marchand and McAvoy will have played the Olympics. So we'll see how it ends up ending for that club at the end of the regular season.
It's a great point.
We're really seeing how much they miss David Krejci too.
Pasternak too in the Olympics. Sorry.
Captain obvious point, but I mean, when you take a guy like David Krejci out of your lineup and you don't replace him to a player of that caliber, it's a huge loss. And going back to the goaltender, the main reason I think they kept Swayman, well, obviously they like him. He's a little bit younger, but Vladar was subject to waivers. So if they kept him and tried to send him down, they could have just lost him to waivers. That's why they traded him to Calgary to get something for him. Whereas Swayman, they could send down if they need to.
But they could have not signed Allmark and kept Swayman.
True.
And
I don't think they wanted to go in to the season with 2.
I was actually going to ask you guys about that because you got an inexperienced guy in Vladar, whereas like if things don't go the best with Swayman, like who do you lean on? That's 2 young guys, right? So that's like where you're saying, RA, like do over, you still make the same decision because at least you got Allmark who has that experience and is more likely to turn around, and if things go bad, could handle the pressure and it won't really ruin or cripple him.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I know that. Yeah, what do they call it? hindsight is 2020, and I think that might be a little bit of that here because not too many teams are going to go into a season with two young, unproven guys. Almach did have a winning record for the Buffalo Sabres somehow over the last 6 years. So, I think he'll probably settle down at some point. But yeah, if you're a Bees fan, you're definitely a little probably unsettled.
And you got to imagine Vladar getting a little bit of help from that back end, or I guess the overall structure of that Flames team. I don't think we're going to hop into them yet, right?
No, we get the Battle of Alberta a little bit later. So, actually, Biz, let's talk about your last Wednesday. The Blackhawks at Seattle was the game of the week, and you guys did a little Patrick Kane demonstration about his resting heart rate.
Did you watch it, Whit? I was brutal. I ended up the pucks they give you are these little rubber ones that are very light, so you can't really do much with them.
I know. They had those at NHL Network. I used to get the orange makeup on them. It was a nightmare. I used that to get my makeup off. No, those pucks suck, Biz, but, no puck was great.
But if anything, it proved my point. Patrick Kane gets that puck in the slot, just his heart rate doesn't change, calm as a cucumber, and ends up roofing it. It turned into a pretty good game. Hawks are starting to turn things around. They end up shutting out the Canucks as well. So they're very loosey-goosey right now. It seems like this coach who came in is it King?
Derek King, first coach in Blackhawk history to start off 4-0.
There you go.
And it's an old team.
Yeah,
so he's 5-1 now. Their one loss I have to mention, just an utter shit kicking to the Oilers, just a wagon in Alberta.
That
but
was to be
the
expected.
Hawks look good, man. And Fleury was so lights out against Van with that 40 save shutout. Very happy for him. In the coaching change, it's been a completely different Marc-Andre Fleury. Now a lot of that probably has to go with Derek King really announcing and telling this team we're going to play a certain style defensively. The job's now easier for the goalie. But yeah, this team is all of a sudden looking like, was the whole too much? What were they, 1-9 to start? So maybe that's going to be too much to end up getting back in the playoff race, but they look different. They do need Taves to get going a little bit. I feel bad. I know he took the year off, but he's been struggling.
Yeah, I can't muster up offense. It looks like a third-line center right now. Just a guy who can eat clock, stay on the right side of the puck, but yeah, just really can't generate. That's still part of their issue, is not being able to generate 5-on-5. And even in that Wednesday game against Seattle, once Seattle got after that first period, they were pretty good, and they really carried a lot of the play. And you mentioned Fleury's performance against the Canucks. He was really good against Seattle as well. He had some highlight reel saves. G's gonna hop in here.
What's up, G?
Well, I just was gonna ask if you mentioned Taves there. If they're out of the playoff race come the trade deadline, do you think they could eat some money and potentially trade him?
I don't know if he'd ever want to be traded. I don't know if anyone would take him. Depending, you'd have to eat half of it, if not more. It's $10 million. How many more years is it too? I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be a possibility because he doesn't have a goal yet, right? Now who knows? It's going to take him a little while. Maybe he gets it going, but.
A team that needs some center depth, though, for a playoff run.
I think you're more likely to see them not make playoffs, and hopes that he comes back next year a little bit more hockey ready after having another year under his belt to get back after the year he took off. I don't.
He's only got 1 year. He's got one more year after this year.
And with the moves they've already made to kind of try for this second window with the players that they do have, you're not even really doing much. If you're eliminating, $5 million off the cap, because when you say when the team would retain salary, does that mean they're retaining the cap as well?
We've been talking about this for 3 years. I still don't know if any of us know. Retaining salary, is it the cap? Is it the actual money? Is because his salary isn't $10 million this year, 10.5, whatever the cap it is. It's a gong show. This is why we are not the podcast. That's Jeff and Elliot. That's their show. If you want to go into money retained, go to those guys.
We bring up the questions. You do the research. Welcome to Spittin Chiclets.
We ask questions on a podcast, and we ask the fans to answer them for us. Thank you, guys. You're the most loyal listeners.
Biz, your line mate on TNT got a nice little honor. Rick Tocchet got into the Flyers Hall of Fame along with Paul Holmgren, and you mentioned the possibility of renaming the Gordie Howe hat trick the Rick Tocchet hat trick.
I said it on air, and he's like, yeah, you can spearhead that campaign. Listen, Gordie Howe, it's not going to change, obviously, but I was shocked to learn, I learned this a few years ago, Gordie Howe, in fact, only had, I believe, 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks throughout his whole career. So I'm curious to know how that got named the Gordie Howe hat trick. Maybe he did it in his first game. Once again, we're asking our fans to answer a question that we have. But
I have a guess.
Rick Tocchet throughout his NHL career had 18 Gordie Howe hat tricks, and that's the record. I think the next guy's got
Rick
14.
Tocchet hat tricks.
So
Who's the next guy? Do you know?
No idea. Rick Tocchet was inducted to the Philadelphia Flyers Hall of Fame. He told me a funny story. I think when he was drafted, they had Bobby Clark and a couple of the scouts were in the box. So when you got drafted and you went into after you went and got your jersey, blah blah blah, they had a cooler of beers, and every kid was obviously too afraid to go up and grab a beer once they got into the box. And then so when he came in, said hi to everyone and didn't grab a beer, well, I think it was Bobby Clark looked to a few of the scouts and goes, well, would you look at that? Another bust. No way this guy's going to be a Flyer, because they weren't grabbing beers. So he said that was his first introduction after he ended up going in the 6th round. So definitely a true Flyer, with the way he played and how he approached the game.
Biz, the nickname was coined by a 1950s New York sports writer, although Howe, like you said, only had 2 Gordie Howe hat tricks.
I'm guessing because, all-time leading scorer when he retired, all-time leading, he was so good at scoring, assisting, and also he was one of the toughest bastards in the league, so it's just let's put them all together. But the fact he only had 2 is wild. I would have guessed at least 10.
Yeah. Yeah, so
let's all give a guess as to who number 2 is with 14. I'm going to go with Cam Neely.
I was going to say him, but because his career didn't last as long as it should have, I'm going to say Brendan Shanahan for number 2.
Oh, another great. Oh, Eric Lindros, maybe?
No. I like.
Why?
He had that. He fought that much,
He
Lindros?
fought, but not as much as Shanny and Neely did. Yeah, we got to check this out. I think Shanny.
Let me go.
I got it.
Wait. I'm going to say Bob Probert.
Not.
I don't know if he had enough apples.
So Rick
Lindros
Tocchet
had 147 PIMs, 103, 160, 136, 130,
Okay, let's hear the
120.
answers here.
Rick Tocchet, number 1. Brendan Shanahan, number 2,
Oh!
17. Brian Sutter also tied for number 2 with 17.
Oh, 17. Biz said 14.
I thought it was 14 was the next guy.
I have the hockey writers right here has it as 17.
No worries.
And then
Well,
Cam
I'm not
Neely is
great call,
5th on
all
the
right.
list.
Nice, yeah.
What's Bob Probert at? Does it say?
150th.
Not even in the top. Not in the top 7 here.
Okay. Thank you. Well, that's got Spittin Chiclets trivia. It lasted 30 minutes to find one answer, but thank you so much for joining us. But hey, he was ended up getting pickled the whole week there in Philadelphia. All the old boys guys were there, and they had a good time. So he was playing a little guilty on Wednesday, but it was funny when they surrounded him in that penalty box on the panel.
Does Tocchet somehow, the look, the shaved head, Joe Rogan and Tocchet, they just I don't know.
Yeah, there's a little resemblance there.
Remind me of each other.
He's definitely a
thick, fucking jacked.
He's a big guy.
Tan.
They'll both kick the shit out of you.
He's a guy you wouldn't want to meet in a back alley, that's for sure.
God, no.
Obviously, we've been talking about Biz on TNT lately. Well, did you know you can get real up close and personal with Biz if you enter our sweepstakes? I'm having a problem with my S's. Like I told you, I lost that fucking tooth lately.
You might want to get the tooth replaced, R.A.
I am. I have an appointment. I
there
know.
We go.
So when I do my S's, that's why I've been struggling. I know people think I'm impaired when I struggle with my S's, but it's one of those teeth that affects my S's, hence the clusterfuck. But anyways, sweepstakes with Biz. Grinelli, give us the lowdown.
Yes, RA, that is right. Like I said at the beginning of the show, big week for me, Black Friday. Been working on this stuff all year. So first I'll talk about the sale. 20% off the entire Barstool Sports store, except for the Peter Millar gear. So we have tons of new merch dropping. These hats, we got skateboard decks, we got cigar holders, we got sweatshirts, crew necks, Canada, US, we got it all. So we're very excited about that, but even more excited for the Biz Arizona experience. So you can enter in the Chiclets store. We'll have a landing page for that. So what we're doing is we're going to fly you and 3 of your buddies out to Arizona. We're going to give you a suite for an Arizona Coyotes game, and we're going to pay for your hotel as well. And you might even get some post-game beers with Biz after the game. All you have to do is go to barstoolsports.com. You can enter there. You can enter in the Barstool Sports store. And the best part, for every $100 you spend on Black Friday through Cyber Monday in the Chiclet store, in the Barstool store, you'll get an extra 10 entries into this sweepstakes. So we're going to select it at random. We're going to pick a random person. You can go onto the site and enter at any time. But you get an extra 10 entries into the sweepstakes for every $100 you spend in the store. So it's easy as that, and I'll just let Biz take it from here.
Well, I'll say this, everyone.
okay.
If you win, what an experience if you win. You get the flights, you get your buddies' flights, you get the hotel rooms, everything's paid for until you go for beers after with Biz and he chucks a bill at you once you're done
Shut
drinking.
the fuck up. The bill will be taken care of, and you'll be enjoying a nice Coyotes game. Hey, 2-game win streak, both games in overtime. Keller had one the other night, and then Capo Bianco. I think that's how you say it. But no, enter. And you can do it around the time with all this amazing merchandise coming out that Grinelli took care of. And hey, and if everything aligns, I'll even take you golfing, because it'll be 4 of you coming in. We'll just get 5 of us on the course, go for a nice round of golf. And then you'll have to put up with me on there, not like Whit.
So just a reminder, it's the Biz Arizona Experience, and you can sign up Friday on barstoolsports.com in the Chiclet store.
There it is.
That's a sick contest.
That is especially most contests give you one guest. I've never seen one give you 3 before. That's probably the best part of it, other than hanging with Biz, of course. All right, the Dallas Stars, they made the news last week, not necessarily for a good thing. Head coach Rick Bowness, he scratched rookie Riley Tufte just before his hometown game in Minnesota. Now, this kid wasn't, assuming anything. The team tweeted out, welcome home. It was his kind of big rigmarole. He bought a bunch of tickets for family and friends, and then they took warm-ups, and he ended up getting scratched, so he didn't end up playing. Bonus said that some guys were cleared to play. He ended up inserting Joel Kiviranta back into the lineup, leaving Tufte out. But the Stars won their previous 2 games with him in the lineup, both games 5-2. This has to be one of the worst sonks ever for a player, Whit. Like, you get told, and again, he didn't assume anything. That the team was tweeting it out, and then fucking your whole family's there, you're borrowing money off Bukestad to fucking pay for tickets, and you get there and you don't play.
Rick must have logged off his Twitter and didn't see that the team had posted that he's back home and he's in the lineup. What do you think, Whit?
Well, I was confused because his post-game press conference, he's like, he knew at 4 o'clock, or he said, he goes, he knew beforehand, and he really brushed it off. Like, I can't believe this is a big deal. Tough look. And now I'll say this, when I saw this, and then I saw Kiviranta was back, I was like, oh man, like that's the NHL, this sucks, but but I didn't know they'd won the 2 games with the kid in the lineup. That's when I completely switched my opinion and went on the board of what a fucking screw job. It was very similar to Babcock scratching Spezza in his first game ever for the Maple Leafs. What do you mean, what?
Really? You consider it that bad?
Yes, dude. This
but,
kid, the team said he was playing. He spent all his money. You had just won 2 games in a row after your team's been shitty all year. And then you pull them out. It was just like if they had not won, if they'd lost 2 games in a row with this kid in the lineup, I'm actually singing a different tune. But when you're talking about getting wins, and for a team who has not got a ton of them, and you finally get some momentum, the kid's at home. It's very clear to the team's Twitter account at least that he's going to be playing, and he spent all this money. Not that spending the money matters. I understand this is a professional sports league. Coaches could give 2 shits, but in the instance of winning 2 games in a row, that is a bullshit move. I really like Rick Bowness. We had him on the show. Great guy. Awesome conversation. We talked to him after. But this one, I think he fumble-fucked a little bit. And I will say, like, that's fucking tough, man. Like, I'm not... If I was an assistant coach, or I would pay him the money back. Now, granted, I have money. Maybe a lot of assistant coaches didn't make money I made playing. I would give him the monay back. I actually feel that bad for the kid. Yeah, because he probably spent $5,000.
Yeah, that was Tyson Nash told me a story that I won't say the coach, but he was playing and I think it was his rookie year and didn't play very well the game before, and he was going back to Edmonton after. I think he had 40 tickets bought and paid for, and it was also landed on his birthday. Warm up and then scratched. Now in this case, I guess I wasn't really aware that. I was always told you show up and we don't know the answer to who's in yet, because he ended up catching word that Kiviranta was available. So I don't know if once he found that out afterward, he's like, "Oh, I didn't know he was going to be available. Well, he would have been my first choice." But you're deferring back to the fact that you don't really change a lineup after you win, and a team who hasn't been winning and they won 2 in a row. So you think just collectively with everything? I don't know. I
also will change my. Sorry, Biz. Go ahead.
Well, you just have to assume that bonus wasn't really aware that this all this social media stuff, along with the fact that maybe he gotten tickets. If he's saying, "Hey, you're in," maybe he was even unaware that this kid was going home. The head coaches have a million things going on through their head.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to know if this is just kind of one of those stories that hasn't really been told from that perspective, because it really maybe even hasn't reached his radar.
Yeah,
I will take back. It was not as bad as Spez getting scratched. Spez has been in this league 20 years.
That's why I was like, oh, shit.
No, but I think it was just something that reminded me in terms of a tough scratching situation. But yeah, put it this way, a little karma involved in them getting pounded 7-2 that night, possibly.
Definitely.
And which is pretty funny. A little irony for that. When Tufte's number is 27, so that when the score come up, it was 2-7. Just a weird little.
Oh,
irony
look at RA over here. Got the tinfoil hat on.
It's a beautiful mind, Russell Crowe. And wrapping quickly, going back to Dallas quick, because I mentioned they got pumped that night in Mini. A tough go right now, a 500 hockey team, 16 points in 16 games, and the next 4 games, they got Edmonton at home, they got Colorado at home, then they fly to play Arizona the next night, they come back, they play Carolina at home. So they got 3 of the top teams in the league in the next 4, so we'll see after that. If they're 1-3 in those 4 games, you're looking at a struggle for this team to actually get in. So we'll see how that ends up going. But Dallas right now, not overwhelming. I say that they're the new Wild. I know that the Dallas Stars were the Minnesota North Stars. They're the boring. They've switched roles. They're the boring team that I don't really love watching.
Little wife swap. You said 3 of the 4 teams, and you got the streaking Coyotes on top of that. 2 wins in a row in overtime. I've already mentioned it once, Whit, but have a little fucking respect. Keep up with the league, for crying out loud.
Before we move on from Dallas, we do need to congratulate Joe Pavelski on his 1100th NHL game. Hell of an accomplishment. So one of the great plays out there, guys, probably a little unheralded.
And what the hell kind of pickup would Joe Pavelski be if this team ends up tanking and doesn't get into the playoffs?
Leafs?
Holy shit. That would be one of the
Dubas?
That would be one of the bigger trade deadline acquisitions in recent league history. Joe Pavelski to
you know where I could see him going?
Deadline. Where?
I could see him going to a place like St. Louis.
Dude, because he's UFA, dude. So if they're out of it,
I could see him going anywhere. I could.
You know when you close your eyes and you picture a guy in another jersey. When I did that, St. Louis, with that the music note on the front of it, Tuck and Geno's.
You can pretty much guarantee, I'd say, if they're out of it, they'll trade him. I mean, why wouldn't they?
UFA.
He's UFA, and you know what he brings. But all right, moving right along, the Vancouver Canucks been a little struggle for them this year, 6-11-2, and the fans have started to revolt on Jim Benning. Well, you probably say they did that a while back, but they're bringing signs to the games. They're starting chants during the games now. But this isn't a team, Biz, that has a big history of midseason moves, whether they be the front office or behind the bench. And, it should be noted they're still only 5 points back of the wild card. I know you were joking around in our text thread that Aquilini needs to go full Jerry Jones.
Full Jerry Jones.
Full Jerry Jones. So what should he do, Biz?
Go full Jerry Jones. The NFL or the NFL has a Jerry Jones. NHL doesn't. Who's the one owner that pops out the most?
I don't know, because is there an owner who played college football with a coach who thinks he knows more about football than GMs in the NHL? I don't know.
Melnick.
Yeah, I guess Melnick's kind of that guy. But who would be another guy? I would probably say Boston's owner is known as the Scrooge McDuck, and has more personality, known as kind of being a cheap guy. But as far as Aquilini's concerned, the big news that broke after we talked about Vancouver last week and their play and the fact that they're slumping, they ended up getting 1 win, but then they got shut out afterward by the Blackhawks, 1-0 at home. But to meet with Benning about, when Benning made all these moves and put this team together, I don't know how much he thought of okay, well, if things don't happen well off the start, assuming they were going to, what becomes the next big move? And I'm sure there's a lot of people in that organization right now. And I heard Elliot Friedman talk about it, and he's like, well, nobody's at ease. I bet you Green thinks he's on the hot seat. We got to know Benning assumes that he's on the hot seat. And then probably I would say if you're a top player in that locker room, like if things aren't working, something's got to change. So you might even think you're one of the pieces that ends up out of town. So there's a lot of unsettling feeling in that locker room right now, and of course with the brass. So I don't know what's going to be the first thing to pop, but if things continue the way they do over the next, let's say 10, 15 games, somebody's going to get canned, or there's going to be a big move made for the Vancouver Canucks. And as far like Elliot also touched on the fact that like people were saying that there's like turmoil in the locker room. Whit, you'll know as much as anyone. I think that when things are going as bad as they are for the Vancouver Canucks based on expectations, it's just more of like a frustration. And not only are certain individuals trying to figure out their play, one of which Pettersson, who's probably the most notable guy on the hot seat, but not only are guys trying to figure out their own game, but they're just like, guys aren't getting along because it's miserable around the room. The fucking fans are on them, the fucking media's on them, and everything is going wrong. So, you've kind of been in a situation very similar, so you can kind of allude to that.
Yeah, no doubt. It's the Pettersson thing is bizarre because at times throughout his career, I mean, I was calling him he's like Datsukian, and he just looks so lost. And I know he missed the games, and Biz has mentioned in terms of like starting a season when you weren't in training camp can be tough, but doesn't look happy. Never, granted, how are you going to look happy right now with how he's playing and how the team is playing overall? But did we maybe jump the gun a little bit on how good of a player he is? I mean, I don't know, because I think right now the one stable force on that team is Quinn Hughes, right? Like that's a guy's like, all right, you can't get rid of Quinn Hughes. And I would say you can't get rid of Elias Pettersson, especially with what he's making. It's not even like a crazy contract, but to look as lost and to look that unlike himself over the course of this year has been really weird to see. So
like
a million question marks there. Like
power play, end of the game, they're down 1-0 against Chicago at home, and I don't think he saw the ice for the full 2 minutes. So like that's
I mean, the confidence goes in this game. It's like any sport in the world. It's all confidence. Do you get confidence by scoring, or do you get confidence by like having minutes and having the touches? I don't know. I think it's different for everyone. Some people can be lacking confidence and get the worst goal in the world off of defender's shin pads, and it's like that's all they needed. But right now, he looks lost. He's carrying the puck up the ice. It's not the same player. It's not dynamic. It's just weird. So I don't know. I do not think it's fair to blame Travis Green for this. I understand, like, I kind of said the same thing about Colleton, and Chicago looks that much better with Derek King. So I don't know what I'm talking about. That's long been proven on this podcast, but I do know right now that team is such a clusterfuck, I wouldn't even know where to start.
All right, I'll throw it to you. Do you think they make a GM change, coaching change, or big trade first?
I don't think they're going to make a GM change, because if they haven't now, why would they all of a sudden? And again, I just mentioned the history of this owner and actually the team history of just not making major changes through the season. I think they're going to ride it out for probably another 2-3 weeks, because like I said, they're only 5 points back of the
right.
wild.
Yeah, that's assuming things continue the way they've been going.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like what you said. How do you fire Travis Green? He didn't construct this defense. I mean, if I'm the owner, I'd fire the GM before the coach, but I don't know. Given the track record, I'd be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if they sit pat, just because this isn't a team that likes to seem to make those moves.
Wow, all of the above.
Yeah,
Option
really
D.
Dodge that. No, I don't know.
I too like to live life dangerously.
I think there's a lot of talent there. I think they could fix it. I mean, Demko's playing out of his mind, but when there's no defense there, that's another thing you got to worry about. When the goalie's getting lit up like that, he's playing good, but is his confidence going to go? So
okay.
I don't know. It's not time to wave the flag on this team yet, but there are some warning signs. But go ahead.
Well, I was going to just say.
We have a member of the squad we mentioned earlier, Conor Garland. I think probably a good time to go to him, unless you had a final point, Biz.
No.
Okay. We do want to let you know that this interview is presented by OCB Rolling Papers. You folks know that us guys here on Chiclets appreciate a great session from time to time. And if you want a consistently great one, be sure to grab some OCB sheets. OCB is the largest rolling paper brand in the world and has been one with nature, crafted naturally since 1918, so they have mastered this fine art. I made the switch and will never go back, and you won't either if you go to OCB, and now's your chance to join the OCB family forever. OCB rolling papers are giving a lifetime supply of rolling papers, cones, and some fresh swag to their loyal fans. Make sure to check out at OCB_USA today for a chance to win. All you have to do is follow at OCB_USA on Instagram, like the OCB High Hall post, and tag 2 friends in the comments to win. There's also a shortcut on OCBUSA.com/chiclets with a link to enter on Instagram right now. You must be 21 or older to buy the papers and the follow social media accounts. So good luck. And again, if you like having a nice session, you can't beat OCB. I made the switch. You should do the same. And without further ado, here's Conor Garland. Well, we're happy to bring on our next guest. He was selected in the 5th round of the 2015 draft by Arizona after winning the MVP in the Q. After 3 seasons with the Coyotes, he's now in his first season in Vancouver, where he's already put up 8 points in 9 games. It's always great to welcome Boston area guys to the show. So thanks a bunch for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast. Conor Garland, how's Vancouver treating you so far, man?
So far, so good. It's been a fun time here. Great group of guys, great city, and obviously be a little nicer. We can get some wins here soon, but so far it's been great.
Yeah, pretty good. Turned into a cult hero in less than a month. Getting compared to the mascot. Fan favorite in no time. Getting different nicknames from other teams from around the league. Maybe not so positive ones.
Couple top ones.
Doing hockey night in Canada after hours, man. You are absolutely buzzing, and all the success is deserved, man. I watched you play for 3 years in Arizona, and you're one of the best kept secrets and one of the lowest paid guys in the league, my friend.
That's
Not anymore, Biz.
Not anymore. So congrats, man.
Thank you.
Talk to me about getting to Vancouver and you come from an area that I give Biz shit all the time. I mean, just one of the most depressing, pathetic organizations in pro sports. And I don't expect you to agree with that. But now all of a sudden you're in Canada, you're with the media, you got diehard fans. Must be pretty cool now to be the #1 show in town.
Yeah, I think it is a big difference. Obviously, you go from one extreme to the other, and there's nothing wrong with being in the desert. It was a ton of fun, and great group of guys. But coming here, like you said, you're the #1 show in town. It's Friday night. It's all about our game, and I think that's pretty different. And it's been fun so far. And obviously, you can feel the energy in the city, as on game day. So I've really enjoyed that part so far.
Conor, how long did it take you to feel comfortable with the new team, being in a new room, bunch of new guys? How long does that process take?
I don't think it's fully, happened, especially come system wise. I'm still trying to figure it out. And, I've had conversations with the coaches. I think, more of an instinct player. And sometimes, you're late in game and you try to shut your brain off. And, sometimes I'll fall into, doing a system we did in the Coyotes on the forecheck or something. And, so it's kind of hard in that sense. But in the room, it's been really easy. They're, they like to have a lot of fun with me. They're hard on me on pretty much everything I do. So it's been easy, adjusting to that. And it's a great group of guys that, like to give it to each other. So it's been fun.
What do you mean? Like your game day routines and your practice routines?
Anything. I mean, I the way I carried the puck, in the empty net in Chicago was talked about for, way too long, my beard. So I shave now, how I play sewer, whatever it is, there's a couple guys on the team that, like to give it to me.
Just a bunch of ball busters.
Who's the goon on the team? Who's the clown? Who's the guy that's loudest in the room, just chirping everyone?
Millsy, JT Miller. He loves to give it to me, and we play against each other in cards too on the plane. So it's never a dull moment with them. But they got a lot of guys, and you know what the best part? I mean, they're all just everybody takes it. There's no one sensitive, and it's you give it, you take it. But so far, it's been a great group of guys.
Yeah, as Biz says, once you get the poopy pants guy, everything slows down. It's just like wah wah. So I the thing about JT Miller though, Kevin Hayes had always told us he's got a tattoo of a deer on his shoulder. He's never even shot one, and he's a big time hunter. So you got to be able to give him shit for that.
He wears his camo hoodies, but he's no hunter.
Maybe it was in Big Buck Hunter he got him. Is he a big buck hunter guy?
He is. Yeah. That's about it.
That's the only bucks he's shooting. Now, to go back to Whit chirping the Coyotes, like, let's be real here. If it wasn't for them, drafting you in the 5th round and burying you in the minors to develop your skills, you would have never turned into the player that you turned into. So we got to save face a little bit, and probably, maybe a little disappointed in 2014 being overlooked. But when you finally were drafted in 2015, did you feel like maybe you deserved to go higher given the accomplishments that season? Yeah,
for sure. I thought maybe, especially around draft draft time, I think all teams probably tell you they're taking you higher than what they have you on your board. So I definitely heard I was going higher, and then on the day it happened, for sure I went pretty late. But I was excited to go to Arizona. There was definitely a couple teams I wanted to go to, and Arizona at the time was rebuilding, and they had a lot of kind of openings, and I felt like that could be a team I could make in a few years, and fortunately I did. But I was pretty excited to go there.
Before we get into the beginning of your life as a hockey player and how wild of a ride it is, I just kind of want to go to the AHL right off the bat, just because it wasn't a great season for you off the start. And I've kind of read that you weren't necessarily prepared. I don't know if that's the so like kind of bring me through that in terms of like maybe thinking it was going to be a little easier than it was, and how that all went about to finally get that chance with the Coyotes.
Yeah, well, Biz loved to chirp me when we played him.
Buddy, we were playing fourth line against fourth line. I was playing against this guy. Now
I was matching up against him.
You probably tore both of his ACLs on a couple toe drags. I can blame you.
No, I was pretty. The first couple games, I really had never not played much, and I was playing about 3 to 5 minutes a night. And we played Ontario, and it was the game. Fish did his bow and arrow.
Oh, motherfucker! And
there was a scrum in front, and I just told Biz, I was like, "Oh, relax, like nothing's going on." He just turns to me, and goes, "Enjoy your 3 fucking minutes, kid." I was like, It's like, shit. The first time
if you're getting chirped about minutes by Biz, it's bad news.
It's tough.
Like, I might go back to Scituate and start working at a fucking Dunkin' Donuts.
Hopefully my dad's got an open roofing spot. But that was a tough year. I mean, it really was. Like, I wasn't playing much, and I had holes in my game coming from junior, which, comes from, producing points and having the puck on your stick. And you can have holes in your game, and the coach isn't going to sit you. So when you go to the American League and now you don't produce points, you're undersized, and you have a lot of holes in your game, you're not a lot of NHL teams, banging on the door for that. So I had a long way to go after that first year, but it was a challenge.
Is there a coach or a player that you could kind of really contribute to helping you really learn that pro style game, what you had to do to get to the show, or is it more just like learned over time?
No, that second year really, to not sound, too drastic, it saved my career. I had Mike Van Ryn as the head coach, and Steve Potvin. And John Slaney was the other assistant coach. And, what Potsy and Mike Van Ryn did from that year is, I honestly can't thank him enough. Every time I see him, I thank, Ryan when we play the Blues. Like, I did so much film, and it was basically like my first and second year that year, just crammed into one. And every day after practice, working on stuff, working on wall work, working on my shot, anything I could. I spent as much time as possible with those guys. And, every game I did film with Rhino, and it was just, just to think of the player I was going into that year, and the player I was at the end is, someone I felt confident going into the next year, I could really make an NHL roster. So I really owe a lot to those two guys.
I mean, we talk about it all the time, and we had Nick Dowd on about transferring your game, maybe from like a top 6 to a bottom 6. But in your case, it was more of, you still wanted to get to that top 6 and get that type of ice time and still have your touches, but yet you had to focus on other things as opposed to when you didn't have the puck. So like, how was that balance of working on and developing your skills, but also worrying about the defensive side of the game?
Yeah, I think when I got called up, I was, when you're in the minors, you will literally do anything to get up, right? So I was just like, I'll be a bottom 6 guy if they need it. I'll PK, whatever I could do to get, out of Tucson, I would have done it. So I went up for the first 50 games. I did play on the fourth line, and, after a while, you kind of get the hunger to get more ice time. And, I kind of had to learn, on the fly in NHL, how to go from a fourth line NHL player to a top 6 player. And, it was pretty tough at first. The guys in the top 6 don't want you dumping the puck every time and chipping it in. So it's hard to, go from doing that to now you got to hold on to it, make some play. So it was a bit of a process, and, it took some time, but I felt my second year in the NHL, I felt, way more comfortable.
Hey, that's the Geno Malkin line. If you dump it in, you go fucking get it.
I'd look over the ice and Kells and Schmaltzy would be pointing, you go.
You dump it, you get it. I remember one of the quotes, I think when you got called up to the Coyotes for good, I don't think you had a point in the first 8 games maybe. And
Correct.
You were asked about it by the media, and you said, I found a way to put up points at every level. I'm going to figure out a way to get it done here. And I want to say that you scored that next game, and then nothing was really the same after that.
Yeah. A bit of a cocky line from a guy who's only played 7 games. But it was, I was trying to just have some belief, because you're nervous. Your first couple games, I had a ton of chances and just nothing would go in. And, I felt like as every game went on, I felt more and more comfortable. But, that first one was a big one for me. And then, I kind of got on a little bit of a run after that and, got put on the power play and started putting up some points.
Connor, taking a look back early in your career, you had 2 games with the Junior Bruins, a couple games with Muskegon, then you get cut from the Bantam team at Shattuck St. Mary's, the famous school in Minnesota. Were all of these things size related? Was every coach just telling you you're too damn small all the time?
Well, I grew up. My dad and my trainer would always say, someone tells you you're too small, it just means you're not good enough, right? Like, Nathan Gerby was a couple inches smaller than me. He was a stud his whole life. And, Johnny Goudreau made it at the time. So, I'm sure it was a little size related, but, then again, you just got to get better. But, getting cut at Shattuck kind of changed my career. I always had success as a younger player. And then you go into your Bantam year and everybody's getting bigger and, starting to get hair on their face and they're getting stronger. And I was still a little kid at the time. So, to get cut at that point was kind of a wake up call that, I had to start getting going here.
Did I read that you were originally committed to go to university at some point and then decided not to? Like, if you could bring us through that whole story.
Yeah, Penn State. I committed to Penn State. I went out and saw the school and kind of fell in love with it and the campus. And it was, it was beautiful. And they didn't have the rink built at the time. So I went through it was almost like a PowerPoint. They just showed you what it was going to be like. And I couldn't pass up on that. But unfortunately, I went to the USHL and probably should have done another year in the EJ and then developed a little more. But I kind of rushed it, went out to the USHL, and they just had too old of a team, and I couldn't get in the lineup. So I was fortunate to have a coach in the Quebec League that wanted me pretty badly, and they had an open spot in their top 6 to play with, Dmitry Yaskin at the time and Ivan Barbashev. So they just, kind of promised to develop me for a few years. And, I thought that was the best route for me to go to play in the NHL.
Couple of St. Louis Blues.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. We were at camp with those guys when we were the clown shows, Biz. Yeah. I remember that. It's an interesting move, though, because, you commit to college and you're in Muskegon, and now you played 6 games, 3 points, which isn't terrible, just getting to the USHL, and boom. I mean, it's not just a decision to leave that team, but it's a decision to give up college eligibility. So for you to say, it was a good opportunity, it seems like an enormous step to take. Was it pretty quick to just jump to that decision?
No, it wasn't something I took lightly. I spent the whole summer before debating it. I remember I had like a piece of paper that said, EJ, pros and cons, USHL, and the Quebec League. And we took a long, long time. And it kind of ended up making the final decision.
You had your
December.
Own PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah. and
you're showing it to your parents.
The Quebec League one was just dollar bill signs.
My mom was like, I don't know. I'm like, no, I'm going to go to school. But yeah, they were, I spent so much time thinking about it in my heart. It sounds weird, but I just wanted to go to the Q so badly. I went up there in the summer to visit Moncton and what the rink was like. It was like a mini NHL. So, at 16, you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to wear a half shield. I'm going to, be the big show in Moncton, and, how can you pass it up? So, but I ended up, holding off for a little bit, but then at the end, I just felt like it was the right move, and I had to go.
So for people who don't know, Connor and myself grew up in the same beautiful town, Scituate, Massachusetts. Biz just called it Scituate, Massachusetts. You can fuck right off, Biz. You're from Welland. and it's a small town on the coast, 25 miles south of Boston. And it's pretty cool to know that you grew up there and have made the NHL. I'm just wondering, when you're 10, 11, 12, the real beginning stages, you've mentioned your dad a few times. He sounds really important to your career and how you became a hockey player.
Yeah, for sure. He was our coach. I played on this team called Boston Mission and then Team Massachusetts. And, we were a bit of a wagon. We had a lot of guys who ended up playing, in the NHL, Eichel, Donato, and then a few guys playing the minors like Nazarian and, Miles Gendron. So we had a ton of guys that, went on and did some really good things. So he was my coach at the time, and, someone who, kind of just made sure I was focused and, made sure, I knew what I wanted to do, and, never forced hockey upon me, but, he knew I loved it and just wanted to make sure that, he gave me every opportunity to be able to play in the NHL. And again, obviously I wouldn't be here without him. So, but yeah, I was fortunate.
Was he helping you with the off ice as well? Because I know you have a lot of athletes in the family. You have some sisters that are big lacrosse players, like D1, big deal. Were you guys all doing this like off the ice type, working out movement stuff?
No. My dad kind of realized like he played in the minors a little bit, but he was strictly a fighter. And, he played some college football. I'll take offense to me calling him a fighter, but is what it is. And, he kind of knew that wasn't going to be the route I took, and he didn't know much about lacrosse, but he gave us every opportunity. So, if you wanted the trainer, my dad could provide that for us. And that was, something that, like I said, I'm very fortunate to have that. And I think the best part was him knowing that, he can't really teach me how to toe drag or, how to score on a goalie or, but he knew people that could. So he gave me that opportunity. And I think that's probably what I'm, most lucky. I didn't want to be a little fighter like him.
I'm going to blame my old man. He tried to teach me how to fucking toe drag. He couldn't even make the house league team for the League Champlain, for Christ's sake.
He couldn't even tie his skates.
Hey, we did a father's game. Did you guys used to do those back in minor hockey where you'd play against all the dads?
Yeah.
My old man fucking first try tears his groin out. Oh yeah. It was like black and blue, could barely go to work like the next couple of weeks. He had these like old leather skates, like the kangaroo skates. These things were brutal. But I noticed in the midst of at the start of the interview, you had a coffee cup. I heard you're the biggest coffee fan in the world, like 10 cups a day.
No, not that much, but I do enjoy it. It's kind of one thing I like to drink. My uncle actually owns a coffee company back in the South Shore, and it's called Harmon Coffee, and I have him send me out it, and I just make it every day. So it's nice. I just kind of come home from practice and just sip on it. And
how do you drink it?
Are you a bit of a snob? Like you won't drink?
No, extra cream. people that drink it black.
Oh, you trashy bastard from Scituate. You're going extra. Dude, this is a kid who's like, I got a coffee, 4 creams, 19 sugars.
No way. No sugar. No, just extra cream. No collagen, no extra protein. I don't do any of that stuff. Just enjoy my coffee.
Go to Tim Hortons, ask for the great one. They give you nine creams, 9 sugars.
No, they don't. Is that a real order?
Yeah. Give me the bueno. 9 creams, 9 sugars. That's what Canadians do. The fucking degenerates with the 2-liter Timmy Hose roll up the rim to rim special.
Roll up the rim to win. That was a big thing in junior.
So, but you must be enjoying coffees on these walks in Vancouver. Unbelievable, beautiful city. Yeah. And I heard that you've been hitting up the dog parks with your Maltipoo. You get a Maltipoo?
Yeah, my little dog. It's really sad what I've become just to have a little dog and walk around with him in a vest. So I've gone full Scituate wit. I've really lost it here.
That's the problem with our town. People say everyone loses it at some point.
You go soft. I'll just be walking through the harbor now with the iced coffee and my little dog.
You're like Will Ferrell in Zoolander. You get the lap dog. What's his name in the movie?
I don't know.
You got the same do.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the question for RA, our movie master.
Mugatu.
There's another nickname for you, Garls, if you haven't had enough given to you, you angry little elf.
Yeah, no, I can't. That one hurt. Angry little elf hurt. And then
considering we're talking about, let's stick on that right now. With that and then the Zadina thing next game, like, is this a rivalry brewing? Like when you hear that, are you like, that motherfucker, I'm going to beat the wheels off him next game?
No, I didn't know Konechny said it. And I'm a huge fan of his, like as a player. Oh, yeah. And it's kind of similar. He's a bit of a rat as well. But he's super effective and he's such a good player, puts up a ton of points. So it's almost destined for me to end up in a scrum with him. And then the Zadina comment, I was just worried that, it might take off a little bit, nowadays that could be found, insensitive or something. So I was worried that could have, for him, English wasn't his first language and maybe he can get himself in some trouble with
Czech
that.
Republic midget's not even close to offensive.
Hey, Biz, I'm sure nobody in Vancouver got offended.
They
never get offended about anything.
There's actually not a riot, but what do you call those things?
Protest?
A protest going on. Thank you, girls. He's heading it.
They're burning Zadina jerseys.
I'll be flipping cars in no time over the.
Yeah, I got the sign. I'm marching.
The midget bomb.
Yeah, I heard it and I was just like, that stinks, obviously, because I knew our team would love it and they for sure did. But it was an unfortunate hit. Like I think I told them after, I went to the bench and asked somebody, I said, did I get him with my elbow? because they were asking me to fight. If I got him with my elbow, I would fight for that for sure. You hit a guy in the head with your elbow, you might as well stand up for yourself and, you know, take your licks for that. But
Love that.
I didn't think I did. So I wasn't going to fight. You know, he just skated into my butt. And, but when I heard it and I felt it, I knew it was a big impact. So I was, you know, a little concerned at first that, you know, we were going to have a little scrum there.
Worth the M bomb.
Yeah, worth it.
That's what I was going to ask.
I had my guy.
Were you kind of going for the reverse hit there, or did you just happen to catch him with your ass? Because it was like an unusual hit.
Dude.
Yeah.
This guy's fucking dirty little player, dude. Guys in the league hate your guts. But I remember last year, Landeskog wanted to ruin you. Like, you get underneath guys' skin more
It's
than
a good thing, though,
Oh,
man.
it's
Everyone
unbelievable.
liked playing against me. I would have done anything to switch that up.
Carlos, I love your game, dude. You're one of my favorite players to watch, and there's a reason I was stroking you off online all last year.
Well, I trust me. I don't like that they hate me, obviously. But the only thing I end up caring about is if they like you in your own room. And fortunately, you know, they do. So that's all that matters. But, you know, I don't go out there trying to get under guys' skins. I'm a small guy that, you know, tries to play in tight areas. And I'm sure that's really annoying. I mean, I've played against guys in, you know, men's league. I want a 2-hand too. So I'm sure I'm that guy. And, you know, it's no fun playing against those guys, but yeah, for sure. Last year you play these teams 8 times, you know, it was like every game I was like, okay, I have to keep an eye out for him. And like, it was like getting old after a while. Like, how many times do I have to see the Avalanche?
You got Bubba the multi-poo with you on the ice in case the attackers.
Yeah. When I go home and just get bit by him, I was like, I got enough of this season.
You should wear a little vest on the front of your jersey, just like keep them around.
I should put the stop sign on the back of my jersey. Just stop. Please don't hit me.
Yeah.
I gotta ask. Oh, go ahead, Biz. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to ask about the other incident when in Seattle, where I guess you were taping your stick early in the third period, and you had this fan right behind the glass who was just barking at you.
He was crushed.
It just crippled for the Squid Game. So you end up making a nice play, get down the ice, a little bit of a fake shot, open up Grubauer, slide it 5-hole for the winner. And you go back to the bench and you take about 6 minutes to get on the bench while staring this guy down.
He was flipping me off, and like they had like 4 of their buddies there just slamming on the glass. And I had cost us the goal right before. They were up 2-1 and we had just tied it up. So I'm sitting there thinking like, please give me a chance to, like, you know, tie this up. Like, let me get, you know, back on the good graces here. And I was in a bit of a mood. So he's like doing that, and I'm just pissed off, and I don't react, but then I scored, and it happened to be like 30 seconds later. So I was like, thank God, I'm going to give it to this guy. But again, something I'd love to have back, and maybe have a filter and talk to myself before I get to the bench. Like, forget about it. It's a fan who's slipping you off. Who cares? But
no way,
you should,
man. No way. Hey, have you seen the clip of the legendary clip of when Steve Sullivan? You know that clip? Yeah,
that one's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hadn't been scripted. It was so unbelievable. But you should You should win the Lady Bing for your restraint on not grabbing your ball bag and telling him to lick it after a full game of drunken buffoonery behind the bench. I'll tell you what, I had my fair fuck you matches. I used to play in Toledo in that old barn, and the glass was about halfway down. Mind you, I probably wouldn't say this like in today's age, but this guy would have a megaphone and he would chirp us the entire time. And he was sitting with someone, and I ended up going at the someone, and I felt bad afterward. But hey, I think that if fans are going to come at you and be ruthless, I think you can very well just give it right back.
Fair game.
Were his buddies giving him shit when you were giving the stare down there?
Yeah, he wouldn't look. You know, that was the only similarity.
Coward, what a coward!
Like that Sullivan clip when the guy wouldn't look at him, like, and everybody else was laughing around him. So, because he was slamming on the glass. So there were people about 3 rows back that, you know, could notice. So they all had a laugh when I was looking. But yeah, he wouldn't look. So, but it is what it is. It was just another night of madness for me.
That was a sick goal too. That fake clapper, get him to open up and slide at 5 holes. A nice play. But we're hopping all over the map. But I just want to go back years before that, because everyone knows, a lot of hockey fans know, Shattuck St. Mary's is a powerhouse, right? Zach Parisi, Sidney Crosby, Jonathan Taves, all these amazing players have been there. But growing up where we did, I mean, there's a lot of great prep schools around here. So what made you go out to Minnesota as opposed to a school around here like Nobles, Thayer, any of those?
Yeah, I was a little small at the time. And like I said, I played on a team, Massachusetts team that like all the guys were big, and everybody had hit their growth spurt, and they were all going to like Malden Catholic, like you said, Thayer, Nobles, St. John's Prep. And I was just not ready for that at the time. I was just like, there's no chance I could play at that level. I'd get killed. So I remember we were trying to find a place like Cardigan Mountain was like an 8th grade school I could have went to, or just a place, I could play middle school for one more year to get a little bigger. And Shattuck had a great Bantam team. And that was my plan, was to go out there and play for them and play at the U14 Nationals. And it just didn't work out, but, and I just needed one more year. And then I, could find maybe a prep school to go to.
And you mentioned Jack Eichel and playing with him growing up. He's a buddy of the show and all of ours. We hope that he ends up getting dealt soon and things getting figured out. But a full-blown phenom from the time he was real young. Like, what do you remember at 10 years old about him? Was he always the best?
Yeah, he was. I shouldn't say he was always the best. He was one of the best. But when he turned around like 13, I remember a summer tournament where it was freaky. It was like, okay, this kid's gonna play in the NHL. I mean, his legs, I don't know if his legs got bigger or whatever it was. Like he had that long stride, and he kind of always had that, but then it was like it had a powerful stride to it and that long reach that he would pull toe drag and shoot from anywhere. And but once he turned 13, then there was no comparison to anyone else around. And I was fortunate to play with him before he went to NTDP for the Junior Bruin Empire team. And I just remember being on his line, and I would just, weave up the ice and pull up, and you could almost hear him like a horse, like his strides. And you just like, wouldn't even have to look, just zing right on his tape, and you would just hear the puck, right in. And we were playing against like 21-year-olds, like Applecore and New Jersey Hitmen. And it was easy game for him. So you could tell from a young age that he's going to be a top player in the world.
Conor, when you were a kid, you also had a figure skating coach, Michael Botticelli. I think he was a 1980 Olympian. How much did he help your development? And how does a figure skating coach help a hockey skater to people who might not understand?
Yeah, it's a little different, but it was more of just, understanding my edges, and what I can do out there and what I can't do. And it's not like power skating and, just straight line, try to get faster, try to get stronger and have power turns. It's more of, can I go in every single direction at any time that I need to? And someone I still work with, all the time. He's, one of the hardest working people in the world. And, he's become one of my best friends. So nowadays it's more of like, if you see a move, like, I love watching Braden Point and what he does out there with his edges. So, can I copy that or see what some guys are doing? But it was never like just straight line speed. It was all more of like tight turns, cutbacks, and understanding my edges.
It's like NFL blitz with you. You hit the turbo button and you keep spinning out there. Is that where you learn the spin move? I was watching clips on After Hours. You would do like 2 in a row now. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, well, that one, I know what one you're talking about. You almost want them to think like, I'm going to go this way, and then you have to do a full turn. So it looks a bit silly, but you are just doing one turn.
Oh, so my math's off. It was actually only 360 degrees.
Yeah, well, some of them, what the worst part is when it doesn't work and you turn right into a guy and, then it's down 200 feet. So you look pretty dumb. So, but it's if I can just, I would love to limit some turns and, maybe just make the simple play once in a while, but it is what it is.
All right. I don't know if you had another one. I was going to ask about your stick length keeps getting brought up. It's interesting because we've had some guys on the podcast, Martin St. Pierre, and guys who are typically a little bit undersized. In order to get that reach advantage, they end up going to a longer stick. And you ended up changing it up, I want to say fairly recently, where you cut off 5.5 inches to change up the kind of the dynamic of the way that you position yourself out there. So I guess just kind of like go through that whole thing.
Yeah, well, that's a funny name, Martin St. Pierre. He played for the Bruins like a couple games, and I remember seeing him play. He's a smaller guy, and his stick was over his head. So, and there's a lot of smaller guys that use long sticks, and Marchand, Zuccarello. So, there's for sure advantages to it. I used a longer stick, and I felt like it seemed like the puck would always bounce on me, and I'd skate over it. And just one day in the summer, I started cutting, a couple inches off to see if I liked it, and I felt like I, had way more control and more accuracy with my shot. Not as hard a shot, but I can't really shoot hard anyway, so it doesn't matter. So, and I continue to sometimes take a little bit off and then, add a little bit just to find the right, height. But so far I've loved having it. It's about here. when I'm on the ice. And again, guys like giving me a hard time for it, but I can have one hand on my stick and it feels like, it's light as day. So it's nice.
You said from watching Marchand, Crosby, you notice that a lot of times in game, given maybe their size as well. I mean, Sid's pretty thick, but in order to fight off defenders, you got the loose hand out, and then it's easier to control with the one hand. And if you're finding yourself in those situations on most nights in a lot of your shifts, it's like, why not, cut it down and use it to the best of the way you can, I guess.
Yeah. And if you have one hand, like you push a guy off, obviously you got to, like Sid was always good. Like he'd look over his shoulder, give a shoulder check with one hand, and then kind of like already go to two and have the pass that he was, going to make already in his mind. So it's, and I think it's easier for that sense to be able to have a smaller stick and kind of just grab it right away instead of like fiddling with it.
And just one last thing is you said that it might have affected your shot a little bit, but that's really not what you're known for. So you were willing to sacrifice the little extra mustard on the shot and then I guess work on ways to trick goalies on how to score. Yeah.
And I think that if I'm going to score, it's going to be below the dots, and it doesn't matter how hard I shoot it. I really have to hit a spot to score when I'm that, when I'm that close, and usually you got to shoot around a screen or something. So I'm never scoring from outside the top of the circles. I've accepted that. So it doesn't matter how hard I shoot.
Hey, that was Biz's way of saying you have a muffin. That was just a nice.
I had the worst muffin in the league. I had the worst.
So did I, dude. If there was no screen and I shot it from the blue line, they like stopped the game to laugh at me. It was pathetic. But I got a question. I'm in talking to people who know you and reading, like you're a high hockey IQ guy, and I think like being a student of the game, is that really what's helped you know how to play and know what it takes for you to be successful? Is more so you watching a ton of NHL games growing up and even currently to see what players that you really want to play like can bring to the table?
Yeah, I think watching games is huge. And, I used to not, especially when I first kind of got into the minors, how many meetings you have and everything. But I think watching guys, there's so many guys out there that are so good, and you can learn, just so much from watching a single guy. So, I've tried to make more of an effort of watching a lot more hockey and trying to pick things up. And even in the summer, we're fortunate to have a ton of guys skate in Boston. So you see a lot of guys and what they do, and you can pick up stuff like that. But, it's also a little bit of knowing what I am and trying just to improve on that and not change my game too much. I can watch McDavid fly down the wing, but that ain't going to be me. But, he might make a pass like last game against us off the stick handle, on his backhand in one stride. And that's something, anybody can really do if you work on it. So there's stuff knowing what to implement and what not to implement.
You just talked about summer hockey. Witt says you turn into like Rain Man in the summertime where you
I heard.
I got to hear you describe your summer hockey. And from what I've been told, Mikey and Billy Ryan, two good friends of mine that both work for the Panthers, say this dude keeps stats for everyone. He's an absolute animal. Keeps track of his little league.
Yeah, that part is not true. I might have to chat with them, but I'm not a psycho. But no, I hate drills. I mean, I hate doing drills in the summer, but I love playing small area games or 2-on-1 drills or 2-on-2 drills, and I think that's where you get better. And I can't stand stick handling around cones or stuff like that. So I've always been someone who wants to play in games in the summer and play against better players and. So that's what it is. I seem to be at the rink. I'm usually playing a game. So, but yeah, I've actually always ran a skate in the summer from a young age when I was like 14, and I would text a lot of college guys, pro guys. I would really text anyone to try to get them out there and just play a full game. And, that's kind of where I started just to pick up stuff, watching guys that were older and better. And, I haven't done it as much the last couple summers, but, from a young age, I always ran a skate on Tuesday nights and Saturdays at Hingham.
You feel that now you're a bit of a big deal, or at least a top guy in the NHL, that guys don't snub you when you text them for ice time now?
Well, I got snubbed by some younger guys like last summer, and it hurt even more. I was like, I'm trying to get you.
I'm in the show, dude. Point per game. You're still big time in me.
These college guys are like, no, loser. We're going up to booze.
Yeah, I won't say who. I was like, what is going on here? But yeah, it was. I mean, when you're younger, for sure, you had to text some guys that were playing in, like at BC or BU, you're asking them to come skate. It's a little, daunting, but, I just felt like if I could get those guys out there, I was going to get better. So, but I, became friends with, a lot of guys. One of my best friends nowadays is somebody, Jason Salvaggio. He played at UNH, and it's just meeting him on those skates. And, it ended up being probably, if I look back when I'm done playing, some of the most fun I ever had.
Con, I know you've talked in other interviews about your parents and how much they instilled the work ethic. Like your mom going to work for the T at midnight. God bless her working that job. The T's, it's the local
What is
transit
that?
system here in Boston.
Oh, transit system?
Yeah. It's
the train. Get you
yeah.
into the garden, get you out.
Dealing with guys like RA all the time? Are you fucking kidding me? She must be a saint.
I'm an older guy. But what I wanted to ask is where does the crazy competitiveness come from? Is that just innate within you or what?
I'm sure it comes from my parents. I mean, they both were, athletes. Like I said, my dad played some football and hockey, and my mother was a great swimmer, although she doesn't brag about it. But I've heard from a lot of people she was a great swimmer growing up. Unfortunately, that was back in the day when a lot of people had kids at a young age. So she had 4 by the time she was 24. So not much of a chance to go do that collegially. But it was. I like just playing, like I said, playing games. I'm competitive. I like to win in cards. I play chess. I love, I just like, winning and stuff like that. And, golf, I stink at golf, but, I go out there and compete. So that's kind of my joke. I just go out there and compete, but
That's biz.
Shut up.
I'm a little better than that, but
what? Oh, you fucker. All right, I'm going to bring out the dirt now in the back half of this interview. No, but somebody was saying that you ended up shedding like 10 shots off your handicap this summer.
So I started playing golf right before we left for the bubble and playoffs. I never played it growing up. I'd maybe go out for a couple rounds,
same here.
But I started playing before the bubble and I just fell in love with it. And the guys in Arizona are all terrific players, and they like to play, and we like to go out there and
gamble.
play.
Play. I heard Keller's a stick.
Gross. Just does some really crazy stuff out there. Phil's very good. Sandbagger, but
I heard
good.
Phil is a degenerate gambler on the golf course.
No, but he's similar. He just likes to compete and wants to play against everybody, and that's what makes.
I heard if you want to go
good.
10K a hole, they say okay. He doesn't give a fuck.
No, I've never seen that, but I mean, it's more of we split up into 3 teams, and if we say a certain amount of money, it doesn't even matter. It's whoever won, and that's at the end of the day, you just want to beat those guys. So, but they all are really good players, and I was fortunate to play with them at the start of my golfing because they helped me so much. I was learning stuff that you probably never think of, like Kells with chipping would tell me something, and I can't even get the ball off the tee, but I know stuff about chipping that people don't even know. So it was nice, but yeah, it's just, but now I've actually played in front of Witt's dad at the Situate Country Club. I went up and down right in front of him. So he thinks I'm a player.
Hey, well, it's funny. So in our hometown, I must have been, 13, maybe a little younger, 11, 12. And they built this course. The town built this course called the Widow's Walk. Well, what they decided to do, Biz, is build the toughest fucking golf course known to man.
Ever.
Every single hole is a bowling alley with woods and water everywhere. So that's the first time I went to play golf was there. I was like, this is the stupidest sport I'd never played. I was awful. And then you're in this impossible course. I was going to ask you if that's where you're learning to play golf. You might as well just stop now because it'll just crush your soul if you're playing Widow's Walk.
Sounds majestic.
Yeah. I used to do, it's called Walk the Walk at 4:00. You can go out there and give them $8 and play as many holes as you can, but you have to walk. So that's what I would do but I'd bring a bucket of balls and try to play a couple holes. And it's a hard course. And they love extra mosquitoes and extra coyotes would just be roaming around. So,
when
I go to a nice course, I enjoy it.
My mom, Sue Whitney, she's played golf 11 times in her life, has a hole-in-one at that course on the second hole.
Get the fuck out of here.
85 yards from the women's tee. She hit driver right in the hole.
It's a small hole, but there's a tree right over the men's
she ain't hitting the ball up high enough to hit that tree.
Yeah, it's it's the most impossible hole in the world. It's impressive.
You have to have a horseshoe up your ass to get a hole-in-one with a driver on a par 3.
Oh, I got another question for you because the enormous trade that sent you and Ekman Larson over, and this guy's in his 12th year, right? He's had an amazing career, top defenseman in the league for a long time. You got to give me your thoughts during that fucking training camp skate when he was 45 minutes behind the goalies on the bag skate. You must have been like, oh, yeah, what is going on right now? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Well, did you see mine?
I heard yours.
Behind the back too.
You better thank him because he took a lot of attention away from yours.
Yes,
you had a bad one too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I was laying on the ice puking. Greener, our coach here, asked me in the summer, like, "Oh, you come in shape? Like, we have a hard camp." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm on the ice." After like the third rep, I was thinking, I'm like, this guy must think I lied right to his face. Like, these guys are flying, but they all had done the test before. I didn't know what to expect. It's the hardest skate I think I've ever been a part of.
These fucking fans.
That's unfair to me. I thought it was just a normal skate after practice.
No. It seemed like it was like kind of like the beep test, but you got to go 3 separate times, Gars?
4, and you have to go down, 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 and then through the red in 40 seconds. And then 2-minute rest and do it again 4 times.
All these fucking idiots these fucking news reporters, they post the video out there. All the fans are like, "Oh, we should have never done this trade." Blah, blah. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's fucking training camp, man. This guy's got 60 sheets in the bag. You think he's worried about training camp bag skate test? No, you guys are worried about putting the puck in the net when the regular season gets going. And that's what you've been doing.
Well, I watched him from the bench because they were the first group. And I knew, I was like, I am in trouble. So I saw him and I was like, I'm just going to the room to get dressed. I can't see it because I'm going to freak myself out. And then after the third rep, I just went up to like Nils. He was next to me. I was like, I don't think I can get through this. Like, I am in trouble here. And then I ended up puking, but I finished it. And then me and O actually had dinner after, and we're sitting there and I'm on Twitter. And I just looked up to him. I was like, "Yeah, just delete Twitter for the day. Like, this ain't good." This ain't for you.
Oh my goodness. They were ready to run him out of town. You would have thought we had a person on the podcast again.
Well, and then he's been unbelievable so far. So thank God. I mean, he's such a good player. So I knew it was going to happen. He comes here and he's just going to be a stud, but yeah, definitely tough test for both of us coming here.
Well, so might as well touch on it now. You're off ice. Like, you're pretty dedicated. You got your full-time diet under the TB12 diet routine. And also, of course, your physical, like your physical training. Jesus Christ, spit it the fuck out, Biz.
Well, yeah, I definitely could be better with my diet, especially in the off season. Like, I love, Chick-fil-A, and that's something I could really cut out. There's a new one on Exit 13, and
I know the Hanover one. They also rip through the drive-thru. That's the most well-run restaurant on the planet.
So here, I got a story about Chick-fil-A. So chicken filla, how do you say it?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A, what?
I don't know. It's spelt weird. It's spelt weird. Shut up, Whit. So we went on the way to our sandbagger in Arizona. And remember when I said, the chicken's a little bit rubbery and they kind of undercooked it. So the next time I went, I said, "Hey, do you mind keeping the chicken in the fryer an extra 30 seconds to a minute?" And legit on the taking the order, they're like, "No, like we have a certain time that we do it, and like we can't go above that. Like, they are on strict protocol." So I said, "Okay, never mind. I'm not ordering anything." So I waited in the drive-thru between the cars, and then I just drove right through. That's how stubborn, and the fact that they wouldn't keep it in.
Hungover, we cannot take that day. Like, our taste buds might have been on another planet.
No, it was definitely a little bit rubbery, and I think that you should be able to get it a little bit extra crispy if you want it. They should be able to, quote unquote, break protocol if you want a crispy chicken strip. No, Gars?
I wouldn't mess with their chicken. I let them do it. It's too good.
An extra 30 seconds is nothing in a deep fryer.
It is though in terms of the day, and like they're cooking everything nonstop, and it's just all the same. So like once you add 30 seconds to ball biz nasty Bissonet's order, then like the next order is messed up. It's
the whole drive-thru is messed up.
They're working on a system here, dude.
They're flying in the toilet.
All right.
I'd be like, "Hey, Biz, go an extra 45 seconds," and then Gretzky doesn't get to talk on TNT. It's like, that
doesn't work. You fucking asshole.
Connie, just said something about playing cards. What are your favorite games?
Spades, Baccarat, and Super Talk. The Schnarps is a good one.
What's
Super Talk?
The game with the marbles.
Never played it. Never even heard of it.
Yeah, I never played it. They played it at the table next to me on the plane, and they taught it to me recently. It's been, it's a very confusing game, but it's been fun. But I used to play spades in Arizona. me and Phil versus Devo and Chicky, 2 best spade players in the world. I don't know how much I had to give them at the end of the year. They are unbeatable. So I'm glad I'm off that table.
You went from league minimum right back to AHL salary.
It was unbelievable. They never lost. It was like every time they needed a good card, they had it and they would just play it. It was criminal.
People still play poker at all? Or is that kind of past?
I've only seen it once on the plane, but it's hard just because everybody's so spread out at the tables. Yeah. But, there's not many card players actually on this team here. Arizona was like you had to fight somebody to get at the table. So, but here I was gifted a seat.
Everyone wanted Phil's money, although I heard he could play too. So
great player.
There's a great website out there. It's called leftwinglock.com. And every single day they update the NHL team's lines in practice that day, that night's games. And I noticed you're playing on the third. They have it as the third line right now. Has that been the case all year? Or have you been on different lines? It just said today that you were with Dickinson and Pod Colson.
Yeah, Pod Colson. Yeah. That's we tried that last game. We actually played pretty well together. But yeah, they kind of have their lines, from last year that we're going with. We're in a little bit of a slump right now, so try to go to some old lines. And I've been playing with Dickie and Pods right now, and they're both great players. So, but yeah, I've been playing. I played with Bo and Pearson for the first 6 or 7 games, and 2 great players. So, but there's so much talent on our team that wherever I am, it's pretty easy to play.
Yeah, give me your first thoughts on Quinn Hughes, right? Because as a former defenseman, this guy, it's just beautiful to watch him skate. And I'm wondering, first time you got on the ice playing with him, were you just like, wow, this is a different level player right here?
Yeah, well, to be honest, the first time I played against him, we matched up against him, or they matched. We were at home. They were at home. So I was thinking to myself, small D, he's offensive, love to play against that. And then all of a sudden he's flying around the ozone and you're worried about him the whole time. And then they turn it over and you get it and you're like, oh, we got to rush. And he's just catching you in 3 strides. So he ended up being my least favorite D to play against because he's all over the ice and he's just so good. And it's been fun to watch. He's kind of like the engine that, drives our team. He's just always moving. Pucks are coming up fast when he's out on the ice, and in the ozone, he's so fun to watch. Just kind of stares at the guy and then gives him a little head fake and shot on net. So it's one of the top players. He's just really, really fun to watch.
What's he like off the ice? He seems like he's pretty quiet and chill.
Yeah, he's as chill as it gets. I mean, he doesn't have many cares in the world. So, but he's very, very likable. I loved hanging out with him right from the start. So he was late to camp, and I didn't get to meet him. I actually met him on one of our first days as a full team, and kind of hit it off right away. So he's a great guy to be around.
He was hitting up all the sorority parties at U of M, holding out for the big money.
Yeah, that's probably why I'm staying there. Just enjoying the college experience a couple weeks longer.
Him and Petey.
As I'm puking on the ice in Abbotsford.
Who else's skill surprised you? Maybe didn't realize they were even that good, even if you've played against them before.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think Millsy for sure. I saw his points when we got traded, and I was really actually surprised. Kind of like a hidden player who puts up 70 points almost every year. That's kind of crazy. Bass, just the shot he has. Someone you can score from outside the circles. I think that's such a rare talent, and he's one of the guys that can do it. Someone that Tucker Pullman that we actually signed from Winnipeg, how good he's been, and how steady he is, but he breaks the puck out really easy for a guy that's 6'6". So, but there's a ton of guys. Probably the most is Hoglander. I didn't get to see him. We didn't get to play against him. They were in the North Division, and first couple of days of camp, it was pretty crazy to see his speed. And he's a little bigger than me, but he's just so shifty and strong. So a lot of good players.
We had Petey on the show a while back. Great interview. He seems like quite a character. What's he like playing with around the room and stuff?
Yeah, he's just he's Petey, right? He's just
dry,
when you're that
right?
good, yeah, when you're that good, there isn't much worry in the world, right? So it must be fun being that good. But he's a great guy. He loves hockey, so he's a fun guy to talk to about and watching games with and stuff. So I've enjoyed him a lot. And like I said, they our team in Arizona was really tight, but this one is I was I guess you're a little worried when you have so many good friends on a team like Arizona, and then you get traded, you're a little worried, am I going to fit into this group as well? And they've been nothing but welcoming. It's been a great group.
That's awesome. I don't really have much else, boys. This has been a great interview.
Yeah,
We
this is
appreciate
really
your time.
it's good to get to know you. It's Biz. Honestly, Biz was the one that really kind of put you on the map for me. Started watching your game, being like, wow, this is a really special player. So I'm happy you got your payday. You're in a really hockey first environment now, and it's cool to see a local kid really ripping it up. So I'm happy for you. Appreciate you coming on.
All right, before
Thank
you
you.
ask your last question here,
Yeah.
I want a percentage of that contract for fucking basically being your agent for 2 years.
Well, obviously not if they didn't resign me. They didn't do that well.
I think I'm going to log off now.
I couldn't even get a phone call.
I said, get rid of them. We can't afford them, and I'm not making enough in the booth right now. So we got to snap this around a little bit more. But hey, I'm happy you got your payday. Well deserved, man. It sucks that the Coyotes couldn't keep it, but we got bigger plans to go for the first overall pick and Shane Wright.
Con, I just want to ask, what's the inspiration, if any, behind the number 8 when you got to Vancouver?
I just wore it in junior.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up kind of in the Ovechkin and Crosby era, and I was an Ovechkin fan first, and I wore that. Ended up being a bigger Crosby fan, but just kind of always wore it, baseball, everything I had. And I went to the minors, and they didn't give it to me. So then, and then I actually got called up 2 days after Nick Schmaltz, and he got number 8 2 days before me. So when I had the chance to get it, I didn't pass up.
One more for you, Connor. And free agents and front offices and staffs, they still seem to be so obsessed with size. We talked about it a little while ago. And, there's 60 years of evidence that guys, I go back to Andre Richard all the time. Why are they still so obsessed with it, even though there's so much evidence that, guys can play at your size?
Well, there's for sure guys that can play at our, my size and, certain guys' size. But I think the one thing you have to have is, you got to have grit and you got to be, on the inside. You can't be a small guy that, is on the outside and a perimeter small guy. So I think that's probably, something that teams are probably hesitant on. I mean, I think when you hear from scouts, what they look at, the 5 tools. And if you don't have size, there's 1 crossed off. And then, you're only down to 4. So you better have the other 4 to be able to make an impact. And, as a smaller guy, you got to know that you can't have many holes in your game. And I think the biggest thing is probably just being a tough small guy and getting to those tough areas.
Great answer.
Fucking right. Fucking right. Way to make RA look like a genius there, Connor. that takes a lot.
But actually, he's the guy who plays chess. Did you watch Queen's Gambit at all?
I watched that. Yeah, chess player. Yeah, I grew up. I went to private school with Dexter for a few years, and I had a teacher there teach me it. Actually, we were in New York one night playing, and this guy had a table set up, in downtown, and I gave him a good match in front of all the boys. So gave him a beat down. So the boys like that. But yeah,
Searching for Bobby Fischer, dude.
Yeah,
no, I'm not. I played against some guys that are really good. Trevor Moore in LA is actually a really good player.
Really?
So, yeah, he's a good player, and I heard Dustin Brown's really good as well. But something I grew up playing, and anytime I get a chance to play, I play it.
I'd like to play in chess.
You a player?
Cornelli, let's bring the
under.
Up, if you can beat me in a chess game.
Where's the punchline?
No. Wait, you don't think I can play chess? Do you know how to play chess?
I would love to play you in chess. Let's play in Philly and we'll record it.
Done. And then Garland, maybe if you can beat me in a chess match, you can come join us for a sandbagger. Because I'm going to make you back up those words on you saying you're better than me at golf, Peckerhead.
You know what? I watched you, and I was getting mad how well you were playing. You make the craziest shots. It's like, the swing's okay, but sometimes you have a 4 iron, 220 out, and it's next to the hole. And I'm watching. Yeah. I'm like, okay, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. It's when I get the perfect mix of Pink Whitney and weed. Whenever I hit the perfect fucked upness, that's when it all comes together and the mechanics start clicking. So, listen, we want to thank you again, buddy, for coming on. Wish you the best of luck. Go Yotes! You're still a Coyote in my heart. And
still root for him.
Anything else, RA?
I'm good. I'm good.
That's it. Thanks for coming on, pal.
Thanks so much, buddy. Good luck.
Thanks, Connor.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, guys.
Huge thanks to Connor for joining us on the show today. Great kid, easy to root for, and hopefully Vancouver can turn around so I can root for the local guy. We do want to also mention that interview was also brought to you by Sling TV. The NHL season is here, and if you love watching sports but you're tired of the high prices, it's time to take control of your TV experience. It's time you got Sling. Sling is the place where your favorite sports channels like ESPN, FS1, TNT, and more all come together for less. Plus, you can watch sports all season long with the Sling Blue Plus Sports Extra package, which gives you access to NHL Network and more, like Red Zone and Golf Channel, for only $21 for your first month. You can also watch past episodes of Spittin Chiclets, Sandbagger Invitationals, and exclusive new Barstool content for free on the Barstool Sports channel on Sling. You got to see how easy this is to set up and use. I was over my buddies the other day. I might have to grab this for every room in my house, man. Sling is awesome. There's no contracts. That's probably the best part about it. And deals start at just $35 a month. So sign up now and get your first month for just $10. Go to sling.com/Barstool to sign up now and get your first month starting at just $10. Are the Nordiques coming back, Biz? Are you brushed up in your French, Biz, at all? How much French you speak? Because I don't know if you saw this one.
Every time we do a podcast and there's a rumor come up, you're telling me the Coyotes are moving to Houston, they're moving to Quebec. What's going on here, eh? What's the latest news that I'm not going to believe?
Apparently, the Quebec Premier was having a sit-down with Bettman. Francois Legault
Free meal,
said,
no boo. That's the only reason that went down.
Francois Legault, he said Thursday, quote, "I've spoken with Bettman already, and there are meetings that are planned during the coming months. You have to look to know who is ready to invest. We have an arena already built in Quebec City, and we are in contact with Bettman to find out what we need to bring back the Nordiques." Quebec City's what's called the Videotron Center. It's an 18,000-seat arena, opened back in 2015. It's the 7th largest indoor arena in Canada and the largest that doesn't have an NHL team. Currently, the QMJHL Quebec Ramparts are the primary tenant. The odds in this happening, I don't know, man. I know the dollar is always an issue up there getting sponsors, but Biz, do you need to brush up in your French or what?
No. The Coyotes are staying. They're going to figure it out. They're going to. We know eventually the team's going to move to probably Tempe. And once that happens, it's game over. Then we're going to take over the league. We just wanted to give everybody a head start. That's when Austin Matthews is going to be playing first-line center for the Desert Dogs, the Desert Dogs.
Oh, what a Leafs fan you are, you fucking fraud.
He's going to fucking take care of business there. Shut the fuck up, Whit. He's going to take care of business there. He's going to deliver the fucking cup to Toronto. Take care of the slump that they've been in for how many years now? Close to 80, I think. And then he's going to come grow the game down in the desert, man. Everybody can have their cake and eat it too, man. Mr. fucking Debbie Downer over there.
I'm pretty sure that most Leafs, diehard Leafs fans,
anything to bring down the Leafs when they're fucking rolling over the league right now.
Wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, okay, Austin, go down to Scottsdale where you're from. Thanks for helping us out, buddy. They'd be like, we want more cups. We don't want to go another 80 years. I'll say this, too. I don't want the Coyotes to leave because I love Shane Doan. And I know Shane Doan's a part of that organization. One of the best guys ever. I think it could be great in Scottsdale or Tempe, and they could pack the barn, and who knows how the team's ever going to get good again. But I'm down with them staying, the Arizona Coyotes. But if they were to move, I'm all in on Quebec being the spot. And, all right, you do bring up the dollar. Maybe that's an enormous issue, but to have another team in Canada is a good thing.
It's not the same, Whit.
What?
It's not the same. There's a currency exchange. I just wanted to give you the heads up.
Didn't I just say that?
No, I know. I just wanted to point out there's a difference. Keep going.
Okay, guys, you can text and tweet Paul that made no sense. Quebec could have another team in Quebec. They have two teams, and it would give me a reason to go back up to a spot that in 1997 I made history in winning the Quebec Pee Wee World Championship. Give me the dollar was the same. Back. Give me a reason to go back. Brian Yandel's son, Colin, their Terriers team's going back this year. He's going to try to win it as a player and a coach. What a story that would be. The rink shrink. So we'll see. But I just think it'd be sick. And mainly I love the uniforms. I love the name, the Nordiques. The unis was sick. It would be a great spot for another NHL team. But I'm all in on Arizona keeping them because of Shane Doan.
Yeah, because there's not going to be any more expansion. I think that the league, like every league, 32 is the perfect number. The only way they're probably going to get a team back is if someone moves, and obviously Arizona's the big candidate. I would love to see Quebec. They deserve it.
They should move the Islanders.
And And Quebec and Montreal is one of the great rivalries of the 80s. I know, we always talk about the Canadians and the Bruins, but Montreal and the Quebec fucking Nordiques hated each other. That was a blood feud, but I don't know. I remain skeptical because it always comes down to money and, the league.
Move the Islanders. Just a matter of time anyway. No tailgating at the new rink. The fans aren't even going to show up. It's going to be ghost town in no time. Islanders to Quebec.
Biz, you're going to be announcing for the 2023 Houston Toros, so just deal with it.
If they went to Houston instead of Quebec, that would be a huge mistake.
Yeah. I mean,
but money
could
talks.
happen.
I just don't think there's enough corporate dollar
dollar
to sustain it there. You look at the Arizona economy just in general, like 5 million people in the surrounding area. There's just like too much upside. So anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah. All right, moving right along. What a wagon the Carolina Hurricanes are. 14-2. They've won 4 in a row. 9-1 on the road, and they're in the midst of a 3-0 run on a current road trip. But this rookie, Seth Jarvis, 19 years old, totally jumps out when you're watching the games lately. He's got goals in 3 straight games, had consecutive game winners. 5 points in 9 games. He's drawn 4 penalties, averaging over 14 minutes of ice time a game, and he's worked himself up to the top line with Aho and Svechnikov. His 10th game played will be, last night, Monday night, so he's up for the year unless they decide to send him back. But either way, he's burning off that first year of his entry-level deal. Great stuff. Whit, have you been able to see this kid play, man?
I've seen a little bit of their games lately, and the fact that they've just keep trucking along like this is really no surprise. I'll say Jarvis is a little bit of a surprise, and I think when you look at going into the year, every GM and coaching staff, they look at what they think they have, they look at the line matchups, they look at where they think guys slate, and they could have hoped and wished that Seth Jarvis, who was just drafted in 2020, that he could make the jump, but there's no way they planned on this. So when you plan on Aho and his numbers, and you plan on Neckish and the improvement and how good of a player he's been, and Slavin and how reliable he is, you have all these things you expect and plan for. This was not something they expected or planned for. So the fact that it's happening to probably the best team in the NHL right now is just another feather in their cap. So I think you look at the kid and, like you said, 10 games, that burns off the year. And if it's one thing, if he's up, but he's not really in it, he's in on the lineup, or he's playing third or fourth line, it's all right, we'll go back. You don't need to be in the NHL right now. It's so early, but he's playing 15 minutes a game on the top line. It's why are we sending him anywhere? So I think he looks great. The whole team looks great. We've kind of pumped their tires enough, which we should have because of how good they've been all year. The clip that came out this week that was typical was Rod the Bod unloading the bags from the plane when they got to Vegas. But that made me last week and we talked about it. But they have everything it takes to really make a run. Now, I personally think they're like a star short of winning the Stanley Cup. Maybe I'm off there. I just feel like you look at the Cup champions and you look at
Pavelski?
the absolute. Oh, wow! Imagine Pavelski. Dude,
Wow,
that'd be like when Carolina.
I should be a GM.
That'd be like when Carolina grabbed. Mark
I'm basically
Recchi
Yzerman
from Pittsburgh Penguins and went on to win the Stanley Cup. That'd be what a move that would be. And the goaltending, which was a little bit of a question mark, and we did a little bit of chirping and letting Nedeljkovic leave, but Anderson's been so rock solid, lights out, and it's just a great team that is well-rounded, has depth, and has pretty much 8, if not 7 defensemen that can be in the lineup every night. I know Brendan Smith hasn't always been playing. Now Ethan Bear, I think, is out day-to-day, but even Brendan Smith comes in, he's looked good. It's just the team is firing on all cylinders, and they're going to be at the top of the league probably all year.
We thought it was going to change the other night. We live bet the Anaheim Ducks going into the third period. It was tied 1-1. And, Carolina, man, they just find a way to win. They play with such a great pace and never, they'll give up that chance, but never really giving up, massive sustained pressure, always really pushing the pace of play. And as you said, there's a little bit of luck that goes involved. They lose certain guys in the expansion draft, and they just kind of replenish, restock, and move forward. But, yeah, definitely could sense a big move at the deadline coming.
And the most important thing a lot of times is health, and they've been very lucky. They have not been losing guys to injury and COVID and all that, so you got to keep your eye on that. But so far, so good in terms of getting their ultimate lineup playing most nights.
Yeah, there's a good piece in The Athletic about Jarvis that came out, I believe it was Monday. Sarah Sivian, who covers the team, said when he first learned how to write, he basically wrote that I'm going to joined the National Hockey League and like mapped out his whole thing. So the kid just learned how to write, and he was already like mapping his NHL future. Pretty cool story. Check it out if you haven't read it yet.
Speaking of mapping out, I watched that Williams sister movie with Will Smith.
King Richard.
Oh, dude, it was so good. I cried a couple times. I wasn't even on a flight, and I started shedding a couple tears. It's emotional, man. It's like the guy, like he did everything to put his daughters in a situation to become who they were, and they lived up to every expectation. It's an incredible movie. Will Smith did a great job, and I recommend it to anyone. I don't even know the name of it. My girl put it on last night, and
King Richard. It dropped on HBO Max Friday. I actually put it on. I fell asleep, not because it was boring, just because I was tired. But I enjoyed what I had seen for it so far.
Check it out, Whit.
Will Smith take on a challenging role once again. He
I'm going to watch it. I do remember.
Don't watch it on a plane, folks. Don't watch it on a plane.
I'm sure they go into it, but Venus was the stud at the beginning, and I think she's older, obviously, but she was unreal. And then Venus was the stud, and Serena came on to be even better, right?
Yeah, she said, you're going to pave the way to Venus, and then he told Serena back then, he goes, you're going to be the greatest.
It's such a crazy story, man. Like,
I got to see the movie, but it's also, there's so many parents like that who it doesn't work out. But for every one of the for every Earl Woods, there's 100 fucking jerk-offs that ruin their kids' lives. But I haven't seen the movie yet.
Right, yeah, and I think that was the perception of him, and that's probably a big reason why they did the movie is, no, he always stressed first thing, you got to be having fun. It's all about fun.
Nice.
Yeah, the girls wanted it more than he did. It was just more of, so that's what was so cool about it. And, like through the come-up, like I think they're a little bit older than me, if not close to the same age, but, you always knew that he was a very involved parent. But to the level that he was and how much they wanted it, it all made sense. So it's cool. I'm glad they did it.
Yeah, it's such an unlikely story. And like this guy was mapping this out when they weren't even born yet. The idea that like he's going to have his two black daughters like come to dominate this like ultra white sport that's been white since it started. Like that whole aspect of it, it's an amazing story. So I'm glad you brought it up, Biz. But moving right along, Biz's team, the Leafs. 13-6-1, continuing to hum right along. But the
team. Oh, okay. So which team are we going into now?
His other team.
Okay.
But the big news out of Toronto, Pablo, he's dropping the duster. He raised more than $134,000 for Movember. He said if he did, he would shave the duster. And of course, Movember focuses on men's health, suicide prevention, prostate and testicular cancer research. So it's a great cause he's supporting. But he's finally going to drop the duster. Either way, the Leafs 11-2 in their last 13 with pairs of 5-game winning streaks. They're 2 points behind Florida right now for the division lead. Biz, what
else is there to say? They look unbelievable. And as far as Austin Matthews setting an example and raising money for charity, Whit, I don't even know if your Canadian team captain can grow facial hair, but mustache or not, this guy's going to continue to light the lamp. And even through that stretch of games where they probably played their worst against Buffalo, they're finding a way to win. And in other games, they look utterly dominant. Like, I know Islanders fans are going to say, we didn't have our lineup, the COVID bullshit. Well, fuck, there's a million other examples in those 11 wins in the last 13 games. And they're getting the secondary goaltending. All of a sudden, this Wall kid comes on the scene. They got the Wall, they got Hall. How many other guys they got with that fucking OLL on the end? But I think once they signed Morgan Riley, it really calmed things down. And after that shitty start, we're exactly who we thought they were. So I can't enjoy this. I can't mention it. I can't pump their tires because it's all about the first week of playoffs.
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
No, I said okay. I wouldn't. I said I really have not much to say till the first round of playoffs, first week of May. You Leafs fans, 100% enjoy it. Why wouldn't you? It does. If you're a diehard Leafs fan, you're watching your team truck through the league right now. That's a great thing to see. My whole thing as a hater, and I was a lover last year, my whole thing as a critic is just, it's kind of like, show me in May. But
let me ask you this.
I am not at all blaming you for enjoying this. Not at all. They look fantastic.
Since they've had this core group, and of course with Keefe, is this the best that they've looked? This stretch of hockey, is this the best they've looked under not only the new coach, but since these guys at least got to a point where they were off their entry-level contracts? This is the best stretch of hockey that they've played. They look good on the defensive side of the puck. They look more of a team than they ever have before for a sustained amount of time. Not even they might even had a better win streak in that, but just the way that they're able to win hockey games right now is, I think, the best hockey they've played easily under their new coach. But since this whole group has came together, even since Johnny Tease came over, I would say. So for me, it's a completely different look going into the postseason. It's a completely blank slate, and I couldn't be happier for the boys in blue.
If the third line, like the Kampf and Kashe, like I think Richie was with them the other night, like if they can, Kashe scored a big goal against the Islanders. If they play great, yeah, you're looking at the depth and the things that I chirped, that they only got the top six forwards. But if they play that good, they certainly look great. Muzzin looks solid. They're a good team, man. Said it all along. They're a very good team.
Jack Campbell's 2 series wins away from being like a Felix Potvin or Cujo popularity in Toronto.
Well, they can't sign him.
They did bring back Kyle Clifford, by the way. They got him from St. Louis for future considerations. Little deaf never hurt biz, right? Guy like Clifford.
Yeah, fuck, I love Cliffy.
Yeah, absolutely. But the other big story out of Toronto, and this is, he hasn't been in the league since the 2018-19 season. Dion Phaneuf officially retired. He announced it. They did a nice little thing for him before the game the other night. 14 seasons split between Calgary, Toronto, Ottawa, and LA. He got 1,048 games played in the regular season, 55 more in the playoffs. I know you want to talk a little bit about Double Dion Biz, your old pal.
Oh, I had him written down. I actually texted him before the show. I said, hey, anything to say to the Chiclets faithful? Because, of course, man, this guy had an awesome career. A little selfish playing over 1,000 games. I said, anything you want me to relay? He goes, yes. I would like you to relay that I appreciate all the fan support over the years in every city I played in. Enjoyed every part of the journey, and I hope I'm remembered as a player that played the game hard, honest, and the right way, which I think he did.
Oh, that's awesome.
He would be the guy to answer his own bell. Ever since he came up through the ranks, I had the opportunity to play with him when he was an under 18. I actually played against him when he was an under 7.
You fought him, didn't you?
I fought him at the top prospects game. But the first time he came on the scene was under 17, and they had a lot of good teams on. I think it was Team Pacific, and it was Seabrook, him, Coburn. There was just big wave of defensemen coming out of the West my draft year, and I mean, you saw the way that he came into the league with Calgary. I want to say 19 or 20 goals his first year, would lay the boom on guys, and I think maybe treated a little bit unfairly in Toronto through his time there, but handled the captaincy with class through maybe a little bit of a difficult time, and as I said, a wonderful career. And I was surprised to see that the longest run that he'd been on was with Ottawa in 2017, I want to say.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw that. Yeah,
that was to the conference finals?
Yeah, when they ended up losing to Pittsburgh. Yeah, they had that magical run. Yeah, his longest playoff run. I was shocked, actually, when I saw that.
But a big part of the World Juniors when he was age eligible back then. I think he won 2 gold medals when they had that sick '85 team. So, congrats on an unbelievable career, pal. And what do you got to say, Whit?
I got to say, my first time I ever saw him play, I was playing against him. So we were rookies the same year, and obviously it was Crosby, Ovechkin, and Phaneuf. Those were the 3 big rookies. I think it finished Ovi, Sid, Dion in the Rookie of the Year voting. So, he came on the scene quick. He was hammering guys. He had this one-timer. Very, very quick feet, dude. I just remember his crossovers. Like, he would gain ground on guys. Like, guys that think they have him beat wide, all of a sudden he's just laying them out. So we played Calgary in Pittsburgh, and it was Crosby versus Phaneuf, right? 2 star rookies. And I was like, holy shit, I am not even on the same planet as this guy. Like, the way he played the game, and the way he like made him and announced himself in games, right? Like, I think he was 19 years old, right? Would he have been 19 or maybe 20 at that time? Right. And he's going up against the veterans of every other team. He's willing to fight anyone. The hits he threw were ridiculous, and he had this swagger, which, let me tell you people may think it doesn't really matter. The way this guy fucking held himself, you'd see him in warm-ups.
Almost comical.
Oh, he was like a little WWE-ish, but then the game would start, And what he told you is so true. He played the game hard and he played the game honest. And every single shift he was out there, he was looking to take someone's head off or he's looking to get a rocket shot on net. He passed the puck hard. I just remember being blown away, like, holy fuck, this guy's 19
He was like
years old.
Scott, the last wave of like Scott Stevens hits, where you would see the guy's soul leave his body when he would catch him in the middle of the ice.
Oh, he fucking killed guys. And he was young, but he was so strong. And I just remember he had the Reebok. I think he's wearing the Reebok skates then, just crushing
I think
guys.
he had bad sock wear on the bottom there. He was one of those guys that had
I remember thinking
had
at least
bad
rookie
gear wear.
year he had sick gear wear. I thought he had pretty good gear wear.
He had like bell bottom socks.
At the beginning. But he had 20 his rookie year, and I think he went 17 the year after that, and 17 the year after that. So you're teeing up that rocket one-timer in Calgary. And, I was playing on the East in Pittsburgh, so there'd be nights, the late West Coast Hockey
Couple
Night Canada
pops.
game. You'd watch this kid. It's like, fuck, he was awesome right from the get-go. Never spent a day in the minors. Makes sense, but... Yeah, in Toronto, I didn't know until the retirement little ceremony they did the day of his announced retirement at the Leafs game, how much he did off the ice. He was dealing with a lot of former armed military people. He was doing a ton for kids. You could tell he really announced himself in the community there, and he was a captain. They showed the video of his. I think his picture being hung up in the weight room or in the practice facility with all the other past captains of the Maple Leafs. So everyone that played with him loved him. I think he was a guy that would give it to you. He's very mouthy from what I've heard. But, guys would give it back to him. He'd have to take it. But he was good at chirping. And he gave guys shit. And like you said, he was one goal away. A Chris Kunitz goal fucked him out of going to the Stanley Cup final. So we've both been fucked by Kunitz.
And wasn't that story too? Someone asked him in the locker room one time, "Do you get change for 20?" And he was like, 20 is change.
No, that is change. It's funny because those type of comments are only come out of the guys who never played a day in the American League. Because Jovanovski's a guy who used to say that line too, and he was right from being drafted right to the show. That's fun. That's fucking.
Dion
funny.
had some amazing
Hey,
how he had so many different hair.
Oh, he had some tough frosted
hairstyles?
tips. He had the frosted.
But he also had what is it called in the middle there?
The part?
A part?
No, when you get the thing.
Faux hawk. He had the faux
Yeah, he had
hawk.
the different faux hawks he'd have going and stuff. Never a helmet on and warm.
That was the Islanders special. I remember one year they used to go their whole team would go no helmet, and about 15 guys in their team had faux hawks. And Jans would say,
That's
"We're
what you need to
playing
wear to get
the New York
speakeasy."
Faux Hawks tonight," and you go up and warm up, and they'd all have it spiked up. Well, I was just going to say something quickly there about what were we talking about?
Dion.
Dion.
That's a double Dion.
So I think he'd bought one of those Jeeps, the SRT8s. They're pretty nice Jeeps. I think they're about $70,000 Canadian. And before games, he always used to go to this Tim Hortons and he'd leave it running out front on the way to the game. And one time somebody hopped in and stole it.
Like a teammate or a human?
No. It got full-fledged stolen on the way to a game. He was fucking fuming. It might have been a Starbucks, but I'm pretty sure it's Tim Hortons. He was getting one of those Waynos, 9 sugars.
Are we gonna get him in a sandbagger?
I think he said he would. I don't know if he's going to come on the pod, but he said he'd do a sandbagger, hopefully with Danny Heatley. I saw him, Teddy, and Danny were at the Rams
you
game.
see Teddy's caption on the Instagram because they're at the LA Rams game, and he said, "Congrats on your retirement. Please don't ever retire from golf," because Teddy says he takes so much money from him.
Oh, does he?
Teddy says he smashes them, so we got to get. Maybe Dion will send you a text. Fuck off. Tell Teddy to beat it. I'm beating him regularly, but I think Teddy's giving him beatings out at Bel Air.
Fanouf might have worse calves than you, Whit.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah,
I
he's got
thought he
bad
was like a
calves.
thick guy.
He might be, but he's got terrible calves. They're not proportionate to his body. So I'm hoping he hears this and it kind of gets us chirping on the golf course. If we did a sandbagger, 100% the full 18 holes would be me and him going back and forth, because that's the way it was when I played under 18 with him. I told you he was fucking sawing my sticks. Like this guy he was like Yandel before Yandel. He would just clown on me the whole time in the locker room, and the guys would just have he'd hold court. So definitely a great teammate, and congrats on a wonderful career, Double Dion. Pierre Maguire's sad. Fuck, he's shedding a few tears.
Well said, Biz. Also, we want to congratulate 2010 Stanley Cup winner Troy Brouwer. He also announced his retirement last week. 14 seasons with Chicago, Washington, St. Louis, Calgary, and Florida. 851 games in the regular season, 106 more in the playoffs. So congrats to Troy as well. Hey, you know what? There's nothing worse than not feeling safe in your own home, which is why you should be using Simply Safe. And this week, our friends at Simply Safe are giving Spittin Chiclets listeners early access to their all Black Friday deals. 50% off their award-winning home security. I love Simply Safe because it has everything I need to make my home feel safe. Indoor and outdoor cameras, comprehensive sensors, all monitored around the clock by trained professionals who send help the instant you need it. But my favorite part, like I always say, it's so easy to customize your system online and then putting it together. I don't even own a toolbox. This stuff is easy to do. Any dummy can do it. These are Simply Safe's biggest discounts of the year. You can get a complete home security system starting at just over $100. And there are no long-term contracts or commitments. It's a really easy way to start feeling a bit more peace of mind. So take advantage of Simply Safe's early Black Friday deals and get 50% off your new home security system by visiting simplysafe.com/chiclets. Again, that's simplysafe.com/chiclets for 50% off your entire system. Well, Biz, the Battle of Alberta is the Battle of the Pacific right now. The Flames and Oilers, they keep taking turns leapfrogging each other for first place.
Who's in first right now, all right?
The Flames are currently on top, but Edmonton does have 2 games in hand. But Calgary, they just had a really nice road trip, full 1 and 2 road trip. Mangiapane, man, 15 fucking goals in 19 games.
13 road games, or road goals, excuse me.
He looks like a Cy Young winner, 15 and 2. He's got 15 goals and two assists when you look up his stats. But what's this kid doing different, Biz, this year that he wasn't before?
Well, I remember talking to Ryan Leslie. He does all the television there. And I remember through the holdout, I was like, because he was like holding out in camp. I think it was the year before last. And I was like, is this kid any good? And he goes, yeah, he's got some pep to his step. He scored in junior. And he's obviously confident in his abilities at this level. But I mean, the start he's had to this season. And as I mentioned, 13 road goals, which is unbelievable, playing big D hockey. I was looking off over all of his goals. He's just really good around the net, and things are going his way right now. I mean, you saw the one he had against Boston. I mean, there was a couple cracks at it. Instead of taking the loop by the net, what's he do? He stops by the blue paint, and then he's rewarded. So, I mean, he is a smaller, undersized guy, but definitely not shy to go to the hard areas. But overall, I ended up reading that Pierre LeBrun article, and it just goes through like what Daryl Sutter's done to the team. And they go back to last season. And I think maybe some team or some people or fans expected that he could turn things around a lot quicker. But he really emphasized and stressed that this training camp, they were able to look a lot of the video, say, these are the issues we have. This is how we're going to try to correct them. I hope that you guys believe in my philosophy. And it seems, and I've talked to Lucic, he's messaged me and I'm saying, what's going on? He goes, big D hockey, baby. Everybody's bought in and they're loving it. And they've just been doing a really good job of limiting teams from scoring opportunities. If they do get one, it's one crack. They're taking advantage offensively when they are getting their opportunities, and they're getting to the lead. Most games they're scoring that first goal, and then it just demoralizes teams because they're playing catch up. And they're all bought in, and it's really pretty to see. And you guys mentioned goaltending, like, yes, when the levee breaks, those guys are there to make the big stops right now, and that's what they need. But in some of these wins on the road, would they beat Buffalo 5-0, handed them, and Granato had some. Is it Donato or Granato?
Granato's on.
He had some really nice comments in that Pierre LeBrun article. They asked Bruce Cassidy about it. Everything I basically summarized was all these coaches just saying, this is what, we're not getting anything. They're capitalizing on everything. They got no dead weight, and they're just a team that's really taken the identity on of their coach. And one thing that Sutter talked about in the article was the fact that in the hiring process this was about a year in the making. So he was able to watch all their games and become a fan and just really see what's happening with their structure and why they're losing games. So I know he got the job midway through last season, but he's really been eyeing this team for the last year and a half. So now it's just finally starting to take mold, and the adjustments that he's been doing throughout his time away on video have really helped out and made a difference on the team. Whit.
Yeah, Markstrom is just at another level. We talked about Vladar, but to have a goalie, the two goalies playing this well, that's one thing. And Gaudreau is my big thing, to see the bounce back he's had, to know it's a free agent year when a lot of people going into the season, including us, didn't see this team doing anything, didn't see him getting in the playoffs. We talked about where Gaudreau would be traded at the deadline, being a UFA. Now, who knows what ends up happening, but this team looks great. One guy I kind of feel bad for, I think of a little bit, his former captain, that's Mark Giordano, and he's in Seattle. It's a struggle. And, you look back on the team that you were the leader of and you were there for so long. You see him doing that well. No doubt that's tough to watch. I don't care who you are. And when I look at Calgary be willing to get rid of him and us questioning it and us wondering what's going on, even though he was, 37, 38 years old, they must have known about Oliver Killington and what type of player they have in this Swedish defender who's looked so good. He's got 12 points in 18 games. He flies around the ice. He actually looks similar to Giordano when he's a little bit younger in terms of getting up and down the ice, playing offense. I don't think he's a defender the way Giordano is and is as physical as he is. But still, they had a guy who they knew could make that next step. When they were okay with losing their captain, they had a defender, a left shot defender who stepped right in, looked phenomenal. So everything is coming together. Everything is exactly happening the way I think Darryl Sutter probably saw it go down, starting with defense first, but also they're averaging over 3 goals a game, so it's not like they're completely just relying on the great goaltending. They're able to score. Monahan has been a little questionable in terms of maybe not getting the minutes you're used to. I don't know if Sutter doesn't maybe appreciate his game as coaches have in the past. But you look at what's up there, and Mangiapane, you've said it perfectly, Biz. I think right now he's on Team Canada for the Olympics. How do you not put him there? I don't know. This kid's he's awesome.
Yeah, people have been saying it online, and I just I tend to I don't get sucked on with that Twitter stuff. Come on, meow.
Well, that's only your job. Why would you get involved in that? No, I think
I'm running the Mangiapane campaign to get to the Olympics. I'm on the Booster Club board, and the fact that he's getting the Breadman title.
Why is he?
Yeah, I was
that?
gonna.
He's dethroned it. He's dethroned it.
Gotta call him the Scally Breadman.
Oh, he's dethroned. He's dethroned.
Panarin.
Okay.
His shooting percentage. His shooting percentage right now, 31.3.
That scares me a bit.
That's not great. That's not.
That's ungodly.
That isn't exactly what you want to see.
Sell.
Yeah.
And the other thing you don't want to see if you're a Flames fan is it's another team a little north of you called the Edmonton Oilers. You can't match up with us. You can't play with us.
You can, though.
You've played once this year. We shit-kicked you 5-2 at Rogers. And we have you again December 27th. That one's at the Saddledome. So let's see what goes down then. I will be betting Edmonton that game. You can't handle the speed, and you do not have a Draisaitl, and you do not have a McDavid. So good luck, Flames. Enjoy your season, and Biz, enjoy your Flames love, because you always have the Maple Leafs to draw back. They don't go far.
No, I can like a lot of teams, man. I can be supportive of some teams and predict when I see a team that could potentially win the Stanley Cup, like the Calgary Flames. It's funny that you mentioned the speed stuff, though. In the article, not being biased at all here, Sutter said that his time away helped him watch video and realize where more and newer teams are trying to generate their offense and where on forecheck and where to position themselves in order to kind of direct it in other ways. So it was kind of interesting to hear his time off benefited his way of thinking of new, more developed philosophies in order to defend in the NHL. He's a great hockey mind, man. He's been doing it for as long as he has, and he's been able to adapt years over years. So look out. It's going to be a good battle of Alberta the whole season long.
The thing that jumps out to me, and I know what you talked about, the goaltending, 7 shutouts in 19 games. I don't think I've ever heard a ratio like that before.
I think it was like 1920 or something the last time it happened.
Like 7 of them, and not just one guy. I mean, Vladar's got 2 of them, and Markstrom's got the other 5. But just unbelievable goaltending so far. Edmonton, we got to talk about McDavid. He did it again last week. One of those just jump out of your chair and out the window goals versus Winnipeg. He has a 17-game point streak to start the season. Combined with Leon and Connor, they have 67 points in 17 games. Comes under just under 4 points per game between the two of them. Also, Donnell Nurse is going to be out 2 to 3 weeks with a broken finger. But like you said, Biz, this rivalry is great. And it's getting better, and looking forward to that next matchup.
We're going to get Jim Playfair, the assistant coach for the Oilers, on the podcast to talk about all this stuff. He sent me a clip of McDavid. I don't know if it was the exact play where he ended up addressing the Jets defenders. Who is the defenseman that he ended up walking?
Stanley.
Oh, my God. He just, like, at one
He's
point.
so big, though. That guy's huge. And then, like, with that speed and, like, how big is triangle in, there's no chance.
Yeah, he was just working that. That was probably the biggest triangle McDavid's ever seen. But as he's coming up and ready to take that transition, like the outlet pass coming like on, if it was like a neutral zone D to D, he ends up shoulder checking 4 times where he scans the ice before he ends up receiving the puck, and he positions himself where he gets so low where he's able to do so. So by the time he gets the puck and he's in full speed, he's already like figured out the chessboard. So he knows exactly where he's going to hop and what he's going to exploit in the coming move. So it was pretty fascinating, and I want to hear more of this in-depth analysis from these assistant coaches that got to watch these top-end players on a day-to-day basis. So he's a freak. 2 of the top 3 goals this year. You got Tkachuk, and then he's got the next 2. So pretty fascinating stuff.
No doubt. Biz, I know there were a couple calls this week. I don't know how controversial they were, but the one you want to mention was the Jonathan Huberdeau goal on Thursday versus New Jersey. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, he looked offsides because he actually skated backwards into the zone, but he had possession of the puck, even though the puck was on the other side of the blue line. But, you know, they had changed that rule a few years back. No reason why it shouldn't be if you have possession.
I actually really like the fact that they called it a goal. I think some people were surprised at the term possession, because when just as he's about to enter the zone where his toe is about to leave the blue line, so at that point being offside, the puck hits his stick, and he positions it in a way that he like catches it with momentum. So what they're doing is they're rewarding the offensive player for accepting that pass clean, and basically the second it hit his blade, they considered it possession. Were you surprised to see that they ended up allowing it a goal?
A little bit, because if a player's been carrying it through the neutral zone and for some reason were to back in, I know that it would stand, and that's onside. You have full possession. But the way he had handled it so close to his skates being on the blue line, I guess it's hard to say that he had full control as he backed into the zone, but looking at it over and over, they decided he did. I like that, though.
Yeah, I'd rather than reward the good offensive play. So I think that's kind of where I end up on that one. And I you know, if you're on the losing end of that, or you're the team that got scored,
kill a penalty.
Yeah. Then you're then you're a little bit bitter, but I say reward the offense, and that's a great call by the officials. There was a few other wonky offside calls and goal calls. I just figure this one would be good to talk about, because you see some fans complaining sometimes about the fact that the guys are walking the puck into the zone, which like his skates, if he has possession and body, go in before the puck. This was a case where he literally accepted it right on the blue line as he was crossing. So this one was a little bit different than the one I see fans normally bitching about.
And the other one, Biz, was the Vegas game-winning goal versus Columbus the other night. I sent the clip over to you. Now, what happened was the guy received the pass. I forget which player it was. That he was offside, and the linesman missed it, but he went back over the blue line and came back in. So when and Vegas ended up scoring. So when Columbus challenged it, last time the puck
out of here.
Because they had cleared the zone, basically because the linesman missed the offside and didn't blow the whistle, there was no offside call. So when they went to review it, they only reviewed the last time the puck came in the zone, not the previous clear. So like at first I was like, what are they challenging for? But because they reset and cleared it again, I felt bad for Columbus, because if they called the offside originally as it should have been, then Vegas doesn't get the game-winning goal.
Did the player for Vegas realize that it was offside and exit the zone? Or are you saying it just so happens the puck came out again, then they went back in? Because that's a smart move.
He took it back out, which, I mean, I think it would have been too late for the linesman to call offside at that point. Then he probably would have looked like a buffoon. But a lot of people were curious about it, and it was like, because he went back out, there was no challenge, because there was really no grounds to it.
I'm curious to know if he was aware of it, that's why he exited the zone again, which would be a fucking massive heads-up play. But we can move on from the weird offsides.
Yeah. Let's see. New Jersey Devils, the alternate jerseys, their third jerseys, they got leaked. Maybe
those are for
worst.
Real?
I mean, until no one come out and denied it, and usually when these things get leaked, they're pretty legit. The collar looked legit, the label and stuff. I mean,
it's
probably
crazy bad. It's like if somebody sees it that isn't a hockey fan, they could be like, "What? we know it's a jersey that you're wearing. Why does it say jersey in huge letters?
A little redundant.
It's crazy. I don't know, but I saw somebody tweet in response to the video, bring back our championship unis with Stevens holding the cup. That's what they should go back to. That thing was sick. They've changed it up a little bit here and there. We'll go back to that legit 1995 Stanley Cup jersey they had.
I think some people sent out a photo of at one point the jerseys did look very similar to these, so it's like more of like a throwback vibe.
Yeah, it was like an old minor team.
Yeah,
or something.
they really landed flat, so they got to move on.
They are tough.
Take the L, move on.
All right. We're going to get to Trevor Zegras shortly. Just a couple more quick notes here. Florida has lost Alexander Barkov. He's going to be out week to week. He took a knee from the Islanders' Scott Mayfield.
Very dirty hit.
Yeah. You hate to see that type of shit, especially on a guy who's among the best in the league. And the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, we got to give congrats to our boy Getzy. Ryan Getzlaf got his 1,000th point with an assist versus Washington the other night. The Ducks, they had a couple of what I referred to as measuring stick games in our interview with Trevor coming up. They beat Washington in OT, lost to Carolina, but they hung in there with them. The Ducks have been good, man. 10-5-3, third in the Pacific. 8-1-1 in the last 10. Again, the Zegras stick toss silly. We'll get to that. But this came in right before we started recording. Mason McTavish, he was sent back to Peterborough after 9 games. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a huge surprise, but they did send him back. So let's go to Biz Ducks before we go to Zegras.
I guess where do I begin here? Getzy, he was mic'd up, and when everyone came on the ice, he's like, fuck, don't come on the ice.
I know. Everybody saw it because they had just done it when he broke the all-time scoring record for the Ducks. So then when he gets his 1,000, they're doing it again. He's like, no, get back on the bench. That was classic.
But yeah, this team's rolling. I mean, I don't want to give too much away from the Zegras interview, but just a good core group who's probably been a little bit frustrated at the lack of winning over the last couple of years. Especially they had a pretty good stretch there of dominance in that Pacific Division. I don't know how many times they'd won the division, but with a little bit of rejuvenation because of this youth movement. So definitely a fun team to watch, a team that I've been paying a little bit more attention to. I mentioned I live bet them against Carolina, a bit off a little bit more than I can chew. But I say as far as Getzlaf, we kind of leave it up to Zegras to maybe touch a few funny things that are going on in the locker room, and maybe we could touch on some more when we come out of the interview.
All right. We wanted to tell you that this interview is brought to you by Tommy John. This Black Friday, celebrate softness season by stocking up on your favorite Tommy John underwear, loungewear, and pajamas. When you start your day wearing Tommy John, you're that much more comfortable, so you can do everything better. Shop their Black Friday sale right now and give the gift of comfort to everyone on your list, including yourself, with Tommy John men's and women's loungewear. With over 16 million pairs sold, giving the gift of Tommy John underwear and loungewear has become a holiday tradition for families all across the country, and 98% of women and men love getting a gift from Tommy John. That's why Tommy John doesn't have customers, they have fanatics. I've been wearing Tommy Johns for 4 or 5 years now. Can't get enough of the comfort. So good, so comfy, and this holiday, make everyone in your family that much more comfortable with the gift of Tommy John loungewear, underwear, and bras. Va-va-voom. Plus, it's all backed by Tommy John's best pair you'll ever wear, or it's free guarantee. And during Tommy John's Black Friday sale, get 20% off site-wide at TommyJohn.com/chiclets. Again, get 20% off for a limited time only at TommyJohn.com/chiclets. So go right now, TommyJohn.com/chiclets. See site for details. And now, enjoy Trevor Zegras. Now it's time to bring on our next guest, who I'm told is a big fan of the show. He was taken 9th overall in the 2019 draft by Anaheim. Earlier this year, he led the U.S. to World Junior Gold with his MVP performance. And just a month after that, he made his NHL debut with the Ducks. You'll also be able to catch him on our next Sandbagger, dropping very soon. Thanks a bunch for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Trevor Zegras. Sup, dude?
Yeah, pumped to be on here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
I know he messed it up, though, RA. He fell to 9th. I know he did an interview with The Athletic, and he said he fell to 9th overall. Now, Zeke, do you feel like that you were snubbed at the draft?
I don't know. It's tough to tell. I mean, there are so many good guys, and it's definitely tough to pick a kid at that age. And I mean, I'm pretty pumped up that I got picked by the Ducks because I mean, we got a pretty good team this year, and it's not too bad being in Southern California.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble. Of course, you love playing for the Ducks, but I'm saying when you said it like that, did you mean at the time that you felt that you were better than some players drafted ahead of you? That's not being cocky. That's just being upfront and honest.
I mean, there were definitely a couple teams ahead of me or ahead of where I got picked that I thought maybe I could have went.
Yeah. I think one of them is Edmonton with fucking McDavid. the pick before you went.
No, Edmonton was the pick before. Yeah, I definitely thought I could have went there. I thought maybe Chicago would have been a possibility at 3. I thought LA looked pretty good at 5 at the time. I had a meeting with them.
Shocker.
The day of the draft, I had a meeting with them, so I thought maybe I could have went there. But I guess ended up going 9th. Wasn't the worst.
So that's what I was going to ask you. Sometimes you have these meetings with team and you just get the sense where there was a good vibe going. Was LA probably your best meeting?
Yeah, by far. I mean, I met with them a couple times before the draft. I think twice in Vancouver. And I thought it looked pretty good, honestly. Like I thought I was definitely going there. And obviously they took one of my best buddies, Turcotte, and ended up going to Anaheim and kind of, I guess, their rival, which has ended up being pretty funny. But it looked pretty good on draft day that I was going there.
Any tough questions from the general managers? Were there any that popped out? Because we had Kirby Doc on one point. He said that Yzerman was grilling him about the weed.
Nothing too crazy. I mean, they definitely, because I mean, obviously I try some funny stuff out on the ice, and they definitely showed a couple clips when I was playing at the program of me doing some questionable stuff with the puck. And, they said that they had guys on their team that wouldn't stand there, and they said if I did that, I'd be either scratched or sent down to the minors. So I mean, other than that, it went pretty well, the interview, and I thought it went well. And I had a good chat with Blakey and those guys. And obviously, whatever, they ended up taking Terps, and I ended up going to Anaheim, which is funny how it all worked out like that. But yeah, they were grilling me.
It looks great now.
Yeah.
It looks really good now with what you guys have done this year. But when you say your good buddy Turcotte, I think it's 7 guys. 7 of the top 15 picks were from your team in Ann Arbor. Or maybe were you guys already in Plymouth, Michigan?
We were in Plymouth, yeah.
So the National Development Program, like, what an amazing team that must have been to have 7 of the top 15 picks. Like, when you got there 2 years prior, did you know right away, like, oh my God, we have a wagon?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, obviously we knew we had Jack and what he was going to do, and we had a really good goalie in Spencer. But I mean, I just feel like we were just a really good team and group. And I know it's different year to year, and we ended up having a lot of first rounders, which was pretty cool. And I think our first year, after our first game, we were pretty nervous going into our first USHL game because we had heard like a lot of stuff from like the 2000 group on how hard it was and anything. And we were playing Chicago Steel in Chicago. And I just remember all the boys were pretty nervous before the game. And I think we ended up winning like 10-1 or something crazy like that. And then ever since then, we won like the first 13 games or something and set like a record. So kind of after that, then we all kind of knew maybe we had like a special group. But
that's when all those crazy things you started trying in games were popping up that the scouts were showing you in these meetings, like maybe chucking your stick in the crowd.
Yeah, that's probably not going to work at the NHL level and whatnot. But it was pretty funny how it all ended up.
Now, I actually heard about one thing or incident during your time at the program where you ended up getting called in a little bit of trouble, because there's another guy on the podcast here who ended up getting in trouble at the U.S. program. What was your story?
In my 17 year, my first year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was I think it was raining, and my buddy Cam York, who I kind of hung around with that first year. So my first year, I was leaving school and it was raining, and Yorkie made me go pull around his truck. And when I pulled around, he just hopped in the passenger seat, and I ended up just driving to the rink, and somebody saw me get out of the car. I think it was our intern coach or somebody ended up throwing up the flagpole, and I didn't have a license at the time. So I ended up driving from school to the rink without a license. And that didn't sit well with the folks at USA Hockey. So I ended up missing a couple games. I think
You got sussied a couple games for that?
I think I missed a couple games for driving to the rink without a license.
Well, were you joyriding the thing?
Yorkie, I think, missed a game for letting me drive, which was pretty funny.
He's like, I was shit-faced. What'd you want me to do?
Definitely didn't go over well at all. Because I think I told him I had a license or something. I don't really remember what happened. But I got ripped pretty good for that.
Who was your guys' coach there?
Roboleski, who's over in
no shit. So he'd
Ontario.
been there. Yeah, he'd been there years before, right?
Yeah, and it's pretty funny. He still chirps me about it, which is pretty good. But
during that season, the USHL, I know you're not afraid to chirp guys. Do you ever chirp guys on the team because you got invited to the program and they didn't? Is that something you would chirp them about?
I think everybody kind of said that. I think that was kind of like the main chirp. I mean, we would get ripped for wearing cages, but I think you'd kind of just be like, you wish you were wearing a cage, or like stupid stuff like that. Like the chirps were so bad. I mean, we had a couple guys that were pretty ruthless, but I mean, I wasn't crazy into the chirp, and I'd probably just like butt end you in the face or something. I don't know, but pretty funny.
What mentioned the Ducks hot start. You guys had an 8-game winning streak. You just had a couple teams come in. The Caps, you beat them in OT. The Canes, you took them to the limit. A couple of measuring stick games, I'd say, for you guys. What's the feel in the room after those 2 games, and so far how the season's gone?
Yeah, I mean, we feel great. I mean, I think it's a complete opposite of last year in terms of, I mean, kind of the room and how it feels in there. And obviously with our captain having the year he's having with that top line, and obviously with Troy having this great run that he's been on, it's exciting. I mean, we got a great goalie in John Gibson. I think we got a lot of players that are very good that don't get a lot of recognition. But I mean, it's been fun, and 8 wins in a row. If you would have told me that last year, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But it's definitely a different feel this year.
You're such a personable guy. So you're out there, you're always talking, yapping, even as a young guy, where that used to maybe not fly, but now it really doesn't matter. But we heard, Biz, was it Dallas Eakins kind of saying, yeah, this guy doesn't shut up? I'm paraphrasing.
I think he said doesn't shut the fuck up, and he dropped an F-bomb, and that's not really like Eakins, but it's kind of funny to hear the coaches kind of chirping you, but it seems as if though they do love your personality and how much electricity you bring to the locker room.
Yeah, it's one of those things I don't really think about. It's kind of just my personality. Like, I love to just chime in and chirp guys and stir the pot a little bit in the locker room, whether it's Getsy talking or Drysdale talking. I just love to kind of get in there, and I don't even realize that I'm doing it until somebody kind of chirps me and tells me to get out of here or whatever. But we got such a good group, and I mean, everybody's been so great to me in the short time I've been here. So it's been really fun.
Z, I want to go back to the Caps game for a sec. You're the overtime game winner. I want to ask, like, at what point do you know what you're going to do? Are you thinking ahead of time? Is that all instinct? Walk us through that goal, because that was a 6th night.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of cheating in the zone there. I think Ovechkin was forechecking on, I think it was Hampus Lindholm in there. I kind of just tried to sprint out of the zone thinking that he would get out, and he made a great play. And once I got it, I tried to just cut to the middle and find some space, and lucky enough, they switched to the, I think it was the forward back checking on to me, and I tried to just throw it on the net, and luckily it went in.
So do you talk to Jack about this after he did his? Do you say, hey, if I score a big goal, I'm going to mimic it? Did it just happen spontaneously? Like, take us through everything.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things when I saw him do it, obviously in New Jersey, I was like, that's one of the coolest celebrations I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And obviously with Getsy getting 1,000 points in the first, and obviously with the 1,000th win for like Ducks franchise, I think after that game, I was just like, whatever, let's make it a cool Sally. And I think I realized it was kind of the same move that Jack had kind of. No,
it wasn't.
Cutting to the middle.
You got dimed up afterward, didn't you?
Yeah, I got to just get the Pims up a little bit.
Did you drop a dude on the official and then he dimed you up, or what?
Exactly. I was like, dude, come on,
fella.
But I don't know.
Dude, give me 10. Come on.
I was like, dude, come on, I need 10.
What was I could only imagine, like, what was Getsy saying after the game? Because as much as the old school instincts want to kick in, it seems like it's been a very fun loving group early in the season. It seems like they're taking things a lot less seriously than they were maybe last year.
Yeah, for sure. Nobody really got on me too bad, except I just walked into the locker room the next day 46 question mark right up on the whiteboard, looking for money on the board. So I had to just.
How much you have to throw for that?
I mean, I came in there. It was like $2,000 was written up there. It was like $10,000. So the guys were kind of just messing with me a little bit. But I think I ended up putting up like $500,000, something like, just to get the boys going a little bit. I don't know. We were on like an 8-game win streak. So I did like, I think it was like 1,009 or something, just trying whatever. Might have just jinxed us, honestly, at that point. But I mean, the guys thought it was pretty funny. Nothing too crazy. I didn't really get ripped by any of the boys.
They're trying to get it out of your money bags because they probably see the car that you're driving to the rink and they're thinking, this guy's barely gotten his entry-level signing bonus yet, and you're driving around in a big fancy Mercedes or what? You never go full Kirby dog.
Good for you, Z. Good for you.
No, I mean, you should see some of the cars, man, that some of the guys on the team drive. It's nuts these days. I think one of our guys just got like the Lambo Urus, or Getsy's just ordered like 2 of the new like Audi cars. I mean, nobody even, it's like a blink of the eye what any of us drive, honestly. But it's pretty cool to see.
Who is the Lambo?
Fowler.
Oh,
Fowler.
shit. That's an American for you.
Yeah.
What's that one? The SUV?
Yeah. He was telling me he's doing some stuff to it. He said it's not in yet, but it's definitely, some of the boys got some sick cars out in Anaheim.
What's the one you're driving? What's the name of it?
The X6M BMW. It's like an SUV type thing.
I thought G gave me the heads up that you were driving a fancy Mercedes to the ring. Maybe that was your old one that you traded in or something. Just burning through them.
That was the one BU gave him.
Yeah, exactly.
There.
We kind of glanced over all your World Junior stuff. I mean, you were MVP of that tournament. You guys had that stacked team and ended up living up to the hype and winning the gold medal. And you were I guess the MVP. I'm not sure if it was the tournament or the final game. You guys won 2-0. You had a goal and an apple. Like, that must have just been fucking surreal, man. Yeah,
it was crazy. I mean, that was kind of cool because we had a bunch of the 2001s on that team. And obviously we didn't win that U18 championship when we were all at the program together. So that was kind of—
Who won that?
We lost in the semifinals to Russia, and I think Sweden ended up winning.
No way.
Yeah, which was kind of devastating because we lost in a shootout too. So we had like—
You were actually playing against the under-22 team?
Yeah, we all six of us missed in the shootout, which was pretty embarrassing. But I think Sweden ended up winning. I think that Raymond guy had like a hat trick in the finals. I think we were all watching. It was pretty sick. But I don't know. It was cool to win the World Juniors for sure.
Were you guys able to celebrate it all? I know the bubble stuff was still going on, still in the middle of COVID. What were you guys able to do or allowed to do?
Yeah, they set up like our meal room for us. So when we got back, kind of with like the staff and all the players, we got to go up there and kind of hang out for whatever time we had. But since we were in the bubble, we weren't allowed to leave the hotel, which kind of stunk. But
Zegs, Stutzy was pumping your tires about your skill set. Now, was that something that you developed at an early age? Were you really focused on that? Like, do you have a specific skills coach that you used? He said that you were like going down the ice stick handling and like bouncing your stick off the ice, catching it, and like not even skipping a beat.
No, I kind of just mess around during practice and stuff. I would stick handle a lot, like in driveway and whatnot, but nothing like too crazy. It was just always something fun that I like to do, whether it was in the driveway or kind of in my room at like a young age, whether it was like with the floorball sticks or I don't know. I liked playing like lacrosse and all that stuff. So maybe that's kind of where some of that stuff comes from, but like nothing over the top, like too serious. I guess kind of just like to mess around. It was kind of what I liked about the game, I guess.
Were you a kid like at 8-9 years old, your dream was to be in the NHL, or were you one of those guys who we interview and they say, yeah, I had no plans whatsoever on making it to the show? Like, what was your whole youth experience like, your skill level and your desire to, be the best someday?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to play in the NHL. Like, I was always a big hockey fan. I loved the Rangers growing up. Like,
oh, really?
Was big on all that stuff. Like, I loved hockey. Like, it was always what I wanted to do from wherever I can remember. That's why I think it's so funny that like I ended up like playing with like Getzlaf, and I'll like try and ask him all the time. I'll be like, dude, like, what was your favorite team growing up? And he'll be like, the Packers. I'll be like, there's no way. There's no way you don't have a favorite hockey team growing up. But it's just funny that there's like two sides of it, because I figured that you're like somebody who's achieved everything that he's achieved, like you had to be like a diehard hockey fan. But I guess he's kind of just like that kind of guy that was kind of just like, whatever, like I'm just really good at it, which I thought was pretty funny.
Are you aware that his brother played in the CFL?
CFL, yeah. He told me he's a wide receiver or something. Like, he was like the MVP or something in like the finals or whatever. But I don't know. Pretty random.
Yeah, save your time watching the CFL, Zegs. You get a point if you punt it through like the end zone at some point.
It's like rugby and football had a baby and did a strip of RA's acid. That's what the CFL is.
Oh shit! No, I was gonna agree with you. When I got to the NHL, that's when I first learned, like, wow, all these guys weren't just obsessed with hockey growing up. Some of them are just so good, and I do believe Getty. I think he was just like, I'm nasty at this. But who was your guy? Like, who was your favorite player? Like Sid, obviously, or?
I mean, I liked Sid, but I always just felt like I could like relate more to like a Patrick Kane or somebody that like played a little bit more on the perimeter and like kind of played like a little like flashier kind of game. But I mean, I loved watching Sid, obviously, just because he kind of dominated when I was growing up. But I was a big Ranger fan. So like, I loved like Zuccarello and I loved like Gabrick and like Rick Nash and all those guys. Like I was big on all those Rangers. So it's funny, like now that they're all in like different teams, like going up and playing against them, or like Hagelin was on like the Capitals and played him the other day. Like, I just think it's pretty funny, like seeing them all on different teams now.
I'm sure this experience will probably maybe even top it, but you did have the opportunity to play at MSG, Madison Square Garden, when you played for BU. But coming up here, I think it's March 15th, you guys play there. And then the 20th of March, it's your 21st birthday. So that's,
Jesus.
I mean, first of all, you're probably not going to save any money on that paycheck because I don't know how many people you're going to have show up to the game and you're going to buy tickets for, but that's got to be circled on your calendar, no?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, playing at MSG when I was at BU was crazy just because it like almost didn't feel real. But I feel like playing the Rangers at MSG would be like a completely different level just because I literally went to, I mean, hundreds of games growing up. Like I had the season tickets where I'd go down below and like stand on like the glass, like as they'd walk by. Like me and my dad were big Ranger fans, like my whole family. And it's funny, like my whole family still all cheers only for the Rangers. Like they don't even care about the Ducks, which I think's great. But I think that's definitely gonna be pretty cool.
So
that night you're going to be spending money buying tickets that night. Some of them are going to show up in Rangers jerseys. You're blatantly
They'll all
rooting
be in
against
Ranger jerseys. Oh yeah, they'll all be in Ranger jerseys for sure.
How did you end up settling on BU?
Because of Whit went there. I was a big Whit.
Exactly. He did the official visit. He saw me on that lamppost in the weight room, and he's like, "All right, that's why I'm going there."
That's why. It's exactly right. No, but it was one of those things. I mean, I grew up obviously in New York, so I mean, going to Boston all the time for like minor hockey and playing all those teams. I was a big BC BU guy. I loved the Bean Pot, and it was actually one of those things where I actually always wanted to go to BC. But when I think I was like 14 or 15 years old, that was like when they all started like throwing offers out or whatever. And BC offered me 3 out of 4 years and BU offered me 4 out of 4 years. And I had visited BU the day before and I had heard from my agent that they were only going to offer me a 3 for 4 at BC. So I told them I wasn't even going to go. And I ended up just going with BU. But it was one of those things where I was a diehard, like I loved BC. Like I always wanted to go to BC. And then I don't want to say I went to BU out of spite of them offering me a 3 for 4, but it was definitely a little incentive for me to go there after hearing that.
Damn, is that
and I took that
fit?
Personally.
What's that?
Is that chintzy? Is that rare that teams only offer you 3 or 4, especially after you spent 2 years of the development program?
This is before then.
It was before.
Okay. So, okay.
Yeah. So it was like, I mean, it was when I was playing for Mid-Fairfield. So it was before I went to Avon Old Farms and I mean, BU was awesome. Like it was 1A, 1B for me. And that was kind of the deciding factor was that.
Was it nice to get that buffer before turning pro? Like, did you develop your game so much more by going to play in college for a year?
Yeah. I mean, I think, obviously, I always wanted to go to college. I think it was such an unbelievable year, and all my buddies went there. I think we had like a 12 or 13 like kid freshman class, which was such a blast. And I mean, I just don't think I was ready. I don't think I was ready to turn pro then. I think I needed a year just for my body. And I mean, I think I literally coming out of the program, I think I weighed like 160, 170 pounds. Like there was just no way I could have turned pro after the NTDP or whatever, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So when you were growing up, like, were you always that top player? Were you like the best player at your age group, or was it something where all of a sudden at 14, 15, you really took off?
I think as I got older in like minor hockey playing for in Fairfield is when I realized like I might be able to like kind of do something with hockey here. And I think I realized maybe when I committed to school, I think it was my freshman year of high school, that like maybe I should, I don't know about take it serious, because I always kind of took hockey serious, but like maybe that I could kind of do something with this. And after my sophomore year of high school, I went to Avon Old Farms right before the program. I had a pretty good year, and that's kind of when I thought like maybe like I could do something with this. And then obviously going to the program kind of is where my first year I kind of struggled, and I was obviously you have Hughes, Caulfield, and all these guys. I think Cole had like 50 goals his first year, and that's kind of that summer is kind of really where I flipped the switch, I guess, a little bit, and came back that second year and was a lot better. Obviously ended up getting drafted where I did, but I think kind of around that sophomore year of high school is when I realized maybe I could do something with hockey, I guess.
When you decided to sign pro, Z, like, at what point was COVID in effect yet? Like, take us through that timeline, because there was no hockey to play, or what was going on with all that? Like,
yeah, so we were about to go into Hockey East playoffs at school, and we were about to get on the bus to go to UMass Lowell, and that's when we got the word that Hockey East was shutting down, no playoffs, like pretty much the season was canceled. So I ended up going home, I think that next week. And that's kind of when I signed to turn pro, I guess, in Anaheim, and then ended up going to Anaheim like later that next month and kind of just spending some time out there. But it's kind of a tough ending to I guess my college run was cut off by COVID, which kind of stunk.
It was brutal because the last game you guys played was the first game I brought my son to. So I brought Ryder to that game it was at BU against Northeastern. He loved it, watched the whole game. I met your dad at the game. We were shooting the shit. I was like, oh, this kid, because I hadn't seen you play yet. And boom, I was like, I'm going to take Ryder to all these games. Boom, then it hit. So yeah, that was right exactly when it became, it's because it was March, right? Yeah, mid-March.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was mid-March. And all the boys were pumped that Whit was in town. There was a lot of rumors flying around before the game.
Scouting drinks. Scouting for the Chiclets crew.
Oh, yeah. I had to get interviews here. Was that ninth overall pick, the kid who fell to ninth?
We were dying. All the boys were juiced that you were there. It's pretty funny.
So you spent some time in the American League. What would you say is from an organizational standpoint, I guess more Dallas Eakins now, do they harp on the most about you developing your game? Like, was it the defensive side? Is it more trying to generate more offense at the NHL level? Like, what's their main concern with where you're developing?
I think it's just the defensive side. I mean, I started off the year last year on the wing in Anaheim, and then they ended up wanting to move me to play center. So I think it was like the middle of the year, I ended up going down and play like, I think a handful of games at center. And then I ended up finishing the year in Anaheim as a centerman. So I think that was kind of the big emphasis, was just, I guess, get reps at center, or kind of just work on my game at that level playing center, I guess, was the big emphasis point. But
and work on your surfing off the ice.
Are you surfing?
Exactly. It's tough. I don't really know how to surf. I can go on the boogie board. That's about it. I don't know if I can get up on the big board.
I would say probably the most interesting thing I read about you I think it was the Athletic article, was saying that you were going to these escape rooms. Now, Whit, I don't even know if you know what these things are. I think it's more of like a younger crowd,
like
maybe
eyes wide shut sex parties.
I mean, I don't know if it's those kind of escape rooms you're going to, Zegras.
What are they?
What's going on here with these things?
Yeah, so when we first got back, we had probably like 6 or 7 like young guys, probably from 18 to 20, that were kind of just hanging around like the hotel. Didn't really know, like, obviously we were sick of, I don't know if sick of going to the beach is the right thing to say, but we were kind of just looking for something to do. And there's this thing in Irvine, it's like it's called like an escape house or something, and you just kind of go into these rooms and they like lock you in there, and you kind of just got to like figure your way through the room and try and get out under like a certain amount of time. And it was actually pretty fun, pretty interesting. And we'd kind of go in there with like 8 guys, kind of just try and make like a little joke out of it. But it was a blast for sure.
Do you get to pick how hard it is to get out of the rooms? Like, are there little puzzles that you have to solve in order to get clues to find your way around? Like, I'm a little bit confused because it seems like a vague concept.
Yeah, like there's like different challenges you have to do or whatever, and like you tap on the painting and like a curtain will unlock and you can like go through the curtain or whatever. Like the elevator will pop open.
Glory hole,
or like a door. Yeah, exactly. Or like a door will open. I don't know about glory hole.
BBC glory hole behind curtain too.
Something like that. But
yeah,
no, it was pretty.
Right,
You flash the light at the wall and like something will come down from the ceiling, like that kind of stuff. But it was pretty funny.
I heard you're living with Sonny Milano.
Yeah, I stayed with him for a couple of weeks while I was looking for a place, and his got like a little 2-bedroom apartment, kind of like right on the sand. So I spent a couple of weeks down there with him, which was pretty fun.
He loves the rap tunes, does he not?
Does he?
He's big into like he listens to the craziest music these days, man. Like I don't know if he used to be a rap guy, but I mean, I don't even think any of the songs he listens to have lyrics. Like it's just like beats and sounds. And he like lives on the beach. Like it's crazy what he's doing down there. But definitely no rap for some.
No wonder he wanted out of Columbus. This is exactly a Columbus vibe I'm feeling.
I bumped into a bar in Columbus, and he's definitely got some swagger to him. So he must be a pretty fun guy to hang out with off the ice, but just in his own little planet though now.
His own planet, man. I'm telling you. Like the only way you go hang out with Sonny is if you go down to his house. He's on the sand, getting a tan, like completely doing his own thing, which is pretty good.
Where are you living at? Are you in Newport, Balboa, or?
I'm like Costa Mesa, so it's probably like 4 or 5 minute drive from Newport, kind of just like a little bit above the traffic, which is nice. But it's a good spot.
You seem pretty reserved on here, and we were hearing stories about your interaction with Ryan O'Reilly on a face-off in an NHL hockey game. That seems a little bit a little cocky for a guy who's still rookie eligible.
I mean, it's funny. It started off, I think it was because I was playing center at the end of the year last year, and I was doing terrible on draws, like losing like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. And I think Cam Fowler started chirping me, and he started telling me, like, if you start winning draws, like, I'll start paying you, or like something like that. So then I took it to whatever, like the next level. And I just, because O'Reilly was like, I think we looked at the board, he was like 60 or 70% on draws in like the whole year. So a couple of the guys were chirping me. They're like, dude, you don't have a chance, like whatever. So I ended up betting him $100 on that face off. And
you said that to him right before the ref drop. But
right before the opening draw. I was like, dude, I'll bet you $100, like opening draw. And he didn't say anything to me. And he just like snarled or whatever. And I ended up like tapping it back kind of. And whatever, after the game, like didn't think anything of it. I was at dinner and I got a Venmo notification from Ryan. And I was like, who's Ryan? And I looked, Ryan O'Reilly, $100. I showed Shaddy and all the guys. I was like, this is crazy, boy. Like, no way. But it's funny. I actually did the same thing. So we were playing in, like, it's funny how the different guys take it. Like, he was awesome with it, like, whatever, like, kind of made a joke. And I was actually in Edmonton this year, playing, obviously, the Oilers. And we started. And I never start anymore. It's usually Getsy's line who usually gets to start. And they circled McDavid's line, who was starting also. So a couple of the boys were like, because they all knew the O'Reilly thing. So they asked me, they were like, dude, you got to do it with McDavid. And I was like, sure, like, absolutely. Like, I'd love to do it with McDavid. And I get out there and Draisaitl's taking it. And I lean into him. And I was like, dude, $100, like first draw. And he looks at me. He goes, can you even fucking afford $100, you rookie? I was like, dude. I was like, come on. I was like, I can't. That's why I need to win this draw. And the guy snapped it back before.
Oh, yeah. He's got a fucking
paddle he's got on his stick.
He's got one of those bubble hockey sticks.
Dude, before I even knew where the puck was, McDavid had it in our end. It was insane, dude.
He sent a Venmo request.
Yeah, he sent me a request.
The Venmo, you actually get the request from Draisaitl, pay me, bitch.
Yeah.
He just deletes Venmo.
it's funny how just different guys, I guess, take it. But I was loving it. I love that he kind of gave it to me there. I'd probably do the same thing. But.
Was there any other exchange between you and O'Reilly with the next time you guys played or anything?
Yeah, we played it back to back. And I mean, I offered it right back to him. I was like, dude, like double or nothing, like next game. And I don't even think I beat 1-1 draw off him the whole night. I ended up shooting him a Venmo back $100. And after the game,
he's getting direct deposit from the Ducks from now on.
He signed me a stick, whatever. So I still have it, but it was.
No way.
Cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. He sent over a stick from their trainer or whatever. So
you're like, I got
cool.
a broken one. It's like, no, that's how he uses it. The end of his curve is the most.
The end of his curve.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was like, no wonder he's 70% on draws.
Hey, you're like, I'll send you one of mine over. He's like, nah, I'm good, dude. Don't worry about it.
The French tickler. He's got that little accent aigu on the end there.
Yeah.
The Forzy.
Well, what about this year? Because we've been talking all about the league happenings, and PK Sluban's got the name. So you were a victim, dude, right? I think he got fined because of the one against you. What was the whole scenario when that went down?
Yeah, I think I was in first period. I think it was my first shift. I was in the corner and I just went to go rim it. And the next thing I know, I'm like freaking much falling on my head. And I was looking around. Nobody really saw it. Nobody called anything. And then when I went back to the bench, I was like, boys, like, did anybody see that? Like, whatever, like nothing. And then the next day I came into the training room and a couple of the guys were like, what did Subban do to you? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I didn't even know it was him that did it. I looked on my phone. He got like a fine, I think, or something. I don't even think he got suspended, but it was like, I think it was a kind of a heavy fine.
15 grand.
Yeah. Something crazy. But I was like, geez, because when it happened, I was freaking out. I was on the bench. I was yelling at the refs. I was like, how did nobody see this?
I don't just fall on my head.
I was like, it fucking killed. But I don't know. I guess he's done it a couple times, so whatever.
Oh, you're not going to say anything controversial about it? Oh, cool.
No, nothing.
Okay, great. We can just delete the whole thing. Delete the whole question, Granelli. Guys got to be saying something in the locker room afterward, given the preseason, the one with Revo happened. I didn't think that there was anything there. I've actually seen another angle since, and it looked a little bit worse. And then, of course, yours, Lucic was probably the worst one. And then the Blay one was nothing, but people are seeing a lot more of that. So there must be some dialogue in the room based on the reputation there.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely not what you want, right? I mean, obviously, you guys know you played. That's kind of a greasy play when you kind of slew foot somebody. But I think when it just happens, I mean, I hope that he doesn't mean to do it or like it's not intentional. It's just something that kind of happens. But I mean, obviously, it's not a great play, and it doesn't really look that great when it happens. So hopefully that kind of stops. But I mean, I don't know.
Who are some of the guys in the league you found to play against that are, I don't want to say dirty, but just very hard to play against, where just that every night's just going to be a battle? Like, has there been any quick rivalries that you've developed?
I mean, I don't know about rivalries, but Minnesota is tough to play against. They're just like a nasty team. And I mean, they got a good mix of like that Foligno line, or kind of like those guys that are kind of stick you behind the play. And then they got obviously Kaprizov and Zuccarello. They got a mix of kind of that good skill too. So I mean, we got to play them a bunch obviously last year with the divisions being the way they were, and we've played them I think twice this year. So that team kind of stuck out to me as a team that's tough to play against for sure.
Interesting.
We've mentioned Getsy's name a couple times. There's a really good piece about him in The Athletic from Eric Stevens when he was breaking the record. You're sort of, I guess, his heir apparent as a center. How much are you learning about the position and being a pro from Getsy right now? What's he teaching you? Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, he's just still unbelievable. I mean, it looks like he could kind of play for another 3-4 years the way he's going right now. And it's funny, like he's hitting all these milestones and all these records, and you'd think he'd be like way more happy, but he just doesn't. It's just not his thing to be like pumped up about like individual records, which I think is so cool. And I mean, obviously he's got the cups and the Olympics and all that stuff, but he's just such like a humble dude for how much he's accomplished. And I just think that's pretty cool. And obviously he wears the C, and he's just such a giant part of our team. Like, I don't know, I think it would just be such a weird piece like out of the room if he wasn't there. And I know a lot of people are talking about like how much time he's got left, but I mean, it looks like he could play for another 4 or 5 years, honestly.
Has he had to pull you aside for anything yet and be like, come on, kid, knock the shit off?
A couple times,
Daily.
actually. on the we were playing New Jersey, and I mean, the puck was bouncing all over the place for me, and it was just one that I didn't get deep. I tried to put it under the guy's stick or something, and I get back to the bench and I see him stand up as I'm skating back, and I just go and sit down, and he comes over and sits next to me and just stares at me, and I'm like, I know. And he's like, good, don't do it again. And gets up and walks back to the spot. But I was dying. I was like, that was all I needed. I chipped every puck in the rest of the game. I was like, coach doesn't even need to say anything. I was like, that was it.
That's unbelievable.
I thought it was pretty good, yeah.
Does he still just sit there and then get dressed for the game and go out and play? Like, what's his – I mean, maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't feel like he was a huge warm-up guy before the game.
No, he's definitely not. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to give up too much information, but he does spend quite some time on the table getting a little massage. Then he just hops over, he legit wears the craziest gear. Like I don't even know any of the brands, any of the gear he wears. I told him I'm keeping his shoulder pads when he's done. I don't even know the brand of the shoulder pads he wears. But his gear is awesome. But no, his routine before the game is definitely something.
That's how you got to keep up with the young guys, man. You got to start shedding some weight as you get older. He's going to be out there, no pants on.
Nobody can reach his shoulders. I mean, he doesn't even need to wear anything. He's so
true.
Tall.
I was going to ask you about his, I think it was his 1,000-point ceremony. I think Teemu Selanne was there. Was Paul Kariya not in the building as well?
Yeah, Paul was there.
Did you get a chance to meet some of these older guys, the guys who had been there before you?
Yeah, I met Teemu. Teemu's been around a little bit. He came and talked to us before practice, which was pretty funny. Which is pretty good. Like a bunch of all these older Duck guys always come back. Scotty Niedermeyer has been in the building. And then obviously I don't think I got a chance to talk to Paul after the game, but I saw Teemu and he was laughing. Obviously he thought the stick thing was pretty funny. But I think he was talking to somebody. So I just briefly kind of said hello to him. But it's definitely cool when those guys obviously come back because their face is kind of all over the walls in our locker room and in our building.
Zeeks, figure out where Paul Kariya lives and the beach that he goes to if you want to learn how to surf, because he's probably one of the best ex-NHLers as far as how he can surf, because they did that documentary on him about all the concussion stuff. So a very interesting guy. And he can what's the surfing term? He can hang 10.
I have no idea.
Is that corny? Am I being a cornball right now?
I think that was so corny, but I think it is correct.
It is. I didn't know they still said it though.
Well, RA's favorite band, the fucking
for
Beach
hockey,
Boys. You should know it.
I think for hockey, it's like saying wheel snipe Selly, bro.
That's what he fucking calls the ref dude. He got dimed up for it. He calls his coach and GM dude. Or he said dude so much around the Ducks locker room, Murray finally fucking snapped the wires.
Oh, yeah. Tell Murph I said what's up. Oh, wait. Sorry.
What did you think of Teemu saying he reminded him a little of Paul Kariya?
Yeah, I think I saw that. I think did he say that? And
pressure.
No, he did. He said you reminded him a little of Paul Kariya.
That's
not surfing, but
small horn.
Definitely not. Definitely not surfing. But yeah, I mean, he's the guy kind of in Anaheim. I mean, obviously what he did here was pretty incredible, and I mean, for him to say that is obviously pretty cool to hear, but I definitely don't think I'm any Paul Kariya. That's so sure.
This run that Troy Terry's on, is he a superstitious guy? Like, is he doing the same thing before every game right now? Are you guys busting his balls or just leaving him alone? Just keep going.
Yeah, completely leave him alone. Like, he's one of those guys, but if he's got confidence, man, he's a legit superstar. I mean, just even think about being on a 16-game point streak or 17-game, whatever he's on, is insane. And we were laughing because it's just like you always see these things on social media or whatever. It's like his head and it's McDavid's head, and we always send it to him, just kind of mess with him a little bit. But I mean, it's what he's doing right now it's insane. And every night he is truly our best player. And I don't know if we'd be here without him for sure.
Wait, guess what this guy likes for fast food? In-N-Out Burger, the most overrated chain, probably in all of North America.
I've never understood the hate for it. I really enjoy it when I go out west and I can have it. Like, I don't get why people say it's so overrated. It's good.
RA, do you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I had it. We were in, I think, San Jose. Wicked. I guess overpraised wit, maybe the word, because all I heard in and out, they're the best. And I had it, and I was like, it's a fast food burger. And everyone's like, oh, you didn't order it right. I'm like, well, it's a fucking burger. It's either good or not. So I didn't order animal style and all that wild
Zeeks,
shit.
how do you get yours there?
The animal fries. The animal fries? You didn't get the animal fries?
What does that even mean? I don't know that.
It's got gross cheese all over it with this fake meat that's probably cat or dog, and these kids love it. You like it, eh, Zeeks?
It's pretty good. There's definitely a couple other places I definitely get over In and Out.
Five Guys.
Me and Gibson, we love a good cheat meal of McDonald's. Me and Gibby love to order McDonald's. Gibby's a big McDonald's guy. Probably one of the biggest McDonald's guys I've ever met.
Like having it for pregame?
No, never pregame. It's always once in a while for like, I guess, a cheat meal. But he loves a good McDonald's meal, and I love chirping him about it and talking about it. But pretty funny.
What's he like as a guy off the ice? Is he weirdo goalie style? Is he actually one of those normal goalies?
Dude, total most normal goalie I've ever met in my entire life. Like, I wouldn't even know he was a goalie if you didn't tell me.
I'm clicking through he's kind of a stallion. I'm going through those guys' pictures. Jesus Christ.
I don't know if I want to pump him up too much here, but because he'll definitely see it. But no, he's the man. I mean, obviously what he's doing this year, it's incredible. I mean, I feel like he makes a top 10 save every night for us, whether it's making a sauce all the way down the ice or stopping a 3-on-0. He's pretty good.
Team USA, starter,
Team
maybe.
USA.
Does it make it a little?
Sure.
Does it
For
make it a little
sure.
easier the fact that you get to play with the Ducks with a bit of a wave of all these young guys to where you feel a little bit more comfortable around the locker room?
Yeah, we got a bunch of young guys, and I know we got a lot of young guys in that San Diego team that are coming up too. So it's pretty exciting. And I was living with McTavish for a couple weeks, so I've been hanging out with him a bunch, and obviously Drysdale. And we got a couple other young guys, so it's a good group for sure.
Fowler saved the big goalie goal the other night. I know you just lost the game, but the people give him a little pat for that at the end afterwards. No one wants to give up a goal to a goalie.
For Carolina?
To Carolina. Freddie Anderson, that was on target, man.
Yeah, that was definitely looking good. Cam made a nice play. That would have been nice. I think it was my fault that the goalie ended up getting it. I think I ended up falling down or something and poking it to him. So it kind of saved me there a little bit too.
It's a tough minus to take when the goalie's getting the goal.
Tough. It's the worst, Martin. Especially with the goalie pull. It's the worst.
Well, we know you're a big golfer. You ended up going to Big Canyon with Getsy. And then one of the reasons we wanted to get you on, we can't talk about it right now, was the sandbagger with you and Cole Caulfield. So that's coming out soon. Anything you wanted to say before anyone watches it? Any prior words? Because we were talking to Jack Hughes, and he says that you got to have a fake handicap because you give yourself 6-foot gimmies.
Dude, this guy doesn't even have a handicap. He can't be throwing that around there. Like, he doesn't even know what a handicap is.
I think he's maybe bitter you stole a celebration. Maybe that's why he's giving us some dirt.
That's definitely what it is, because he doesn't know a thing about. I think he shot 200 at Wingfoot this summer.
Oh my God, he played Wingfoot.
He played Wingfoot this summer. I think he shot 200.
Hey, Jack also told us to ask about the late night roller sessions and how your shin is. Yeah, so obviously they got a new house, him and Quinny, this summer in Michigan, like right on the lake. Just outrageous.
They bought it together?
Yeah, it's outrageous. Like, for no reason, just bought a giant house in Michigan.
What town in Michigan?
Pussy Palace Lane.
It's right on some lake.
Oh no shit, some lake.
It's not Lake Michigan. Yeah, whatever it is. There's a couple other guys that live on the lake, and whatever, they have this giant like shooting pad tiles in their garage. And for whatever reason, I don't know if I was standing in front of the net or standing in front of Jack, and he's like ripping pucks on the net. And he shoots one right off my shin, like right where my kneecap is. And I went down hard, and I was like, this is a season-ending injury. Like, it was bad. Like, fully knee bruised. And I was like, it's the middle of summer, and we were going back out on the boat or something. I had to like stay inside or whatever. I think I went out there. But full wrister, like right off my shin in the middle of summer. It was all over him after that, but it's pretty terrible.
Guess you had to be there. I'm just ball busting you, Zeeks. Anything else you thought we were going to ask you? Anything you want to talk about or ask us?
If you still have the jersey, I got to know if you still got the jersey somewhere.
I do
have
Cole's. Biz has yours, right?
No,
You
I
have
have
Cole's?
yours. Actually, I was going to ask you one serious thing about Cole. I mean, he's there. You guys are really close friends. You play at the program together. You'd already experienced going to the minors and kind of did it the other way. You know, he had a great start to his NHL career with Montreal during their cup run. And then this year, some early struggles led to him getting sent down to, I believe, Laval. Did you guys exchange checks? Did you have any words of encouragement for him? How did he take it? Like, you know, what was that like seeing a friend go through that type of situation?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, obviously with, you know, the media in Montreal, there's definitely a lot of pressure on him to kind of be the guy there. But I mean, if you look, I told him last year, like when I think it was my first like 12 games, I think I had like 1 point or something. And then obviously like him getting sent down was tough just because with all the expectations this year. And I think he's done a pretty good job about kind of keeping his head up. And obviously he just got called up again, and hopefully he gets it going soon. But I mean, you guys know he's so dynamite. When one goes in, they all start going in. And obviously he's pumped up to be back up with the big club, and hopefully things start going in for him.
All right, buddy.
I actually have one more. You played 24 games last season, which kept you eligible for the Calder this year. Was that intentional in any way, or just coincidental that it played out that way?
I think it was 100% intentional.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what the reasons were for, but me and Jamie ended up both playing the same amount of games last year, which I thought was a little odd, because I think I got called up, I think, maybe a month before him. So I think there was something with the contracts and the shortened season that we were both able to play 24 games and still have some stuff in our contracts for the future, but I'm not sure exactly what they were.
You signed a 3-year deal, right?
Yeah, 3 years.
So this July they can start talking to you about extension. So keep lighting it up, dude. Get a big old payday all these young kids are getting come July, and then you can take us golfing.
Yeah, exactly. Rematch for sure.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, it's been
Then
awesome.
you'll start
watching
betting guys $1,000 a draw, rookie bitch.
He's getting Venmo requests from every center in the league.
That's probably why Draisaitl was offended, dude. He probably only does 10K draws.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking bringing a $100 bet to that guy, but
yeah, that's what he wipes his hoop with after he fucking drops one of the
that
toilet
is
pregame.
Oh, it's funny.
Well, Trev, thanks for coming on, dude. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Keep going this year, and we'll talk to you soon.
Big thanks to Trevor for joining us. What a happy-go-lucky kid. He reminds me of Spicoli a little bit. I don't know if it's a Southern Cal vibe or what in the surfing, but definitely a fun kid. We'll definitely have him back later. We do want to let you know that interview was also brought to you by Earnest. You're looking for some dough for a winter trip down south, maybe a new recliner? Then check out Earnest. Earnest was voted the best student loan refinancing overall by NerdWallet. Earnest has some of the lowest rates, flexible payments, and an in-house team ready to help. With Earnest, you could change your interest rate, get a low monthly payment, and you never pay fees, not even late fees. By refinancing, you can reduce your loan term, save money, or combine multiple loans into a simple monthly payment. And if you have questions, you can even talk to a real live human at Earnest for help. When you pay less interest, you can put that money towards your goals. With Earnest, it only takes 2 minutes to see what your new rate could be, and there's no credit impact. And right now, Earnest is offering our listeners a $100 cash bonus. Refinance your student debt at earnest.com/chiclets, not available in all states. Once again, you get a $100 cash bonus when you visit earnest.com/chiclets to refinance your student loan. Visit earnest.com/chiclets for more details. Not available in all states. Terms and conditions apply. Earnest Student Loan Refinancing made by Earnest Operations, LLC, and MLS number 1204917, California Finance and Law License number 6054788, 535 Mission Street, San Francisco, California, 94105. Visit earnest.com/licenses for a full list of licenses. couple more notes here before we wrap things up here on Spittin Chiclets. The Colorado Avalanche extended head coach Jared Bednar by 2 years. They like what they're doing with this guy. I know a couple years ago people were kind of calling for him a little bit, but I think he's the guy to get them to the promised land. He's been doing a good job so far, so hopefully Bedsy gets it done. Congrats to him. He's a good man. Let's see. Oh, we got an NBA portion of the program tonight. What, you ready for this or what?
Tough league.
Tough league. Honestly, LeBron James, we don't have to say who he is, the king and all that, but dude, that was one of the filthiest fucking things I've ever seen from a star player.
They're just battling on the court.
Dude,
come on.
He punched the guy in the fucking eye, dude. Like, you could make a guy lose his sight when you hit a guy. Like, his fucking eye was gouging. Hey, you know what? What was his name? Isaiah Stewart? Was that his name?
That was.
Dude, kudos to him for having the balls. Like, everyone's a fake tough guy. Hold me back. That motherfucker was like a bull looking for the red flag out there, the red cape. They were having a hard time containing him. Like, I don't blame him, man. I don't care who does that to you. That was dirty as fuck, man. You could potentially blind a guy hitting someone in the eye like that. He
probably teabagged him like a couple minutes before when they were doing a jump.
What are you, like a LeBron super fan or something?
Seriously.
Like, what the fuck is going on over there? Are you trolling or are you a LeBron super fan?
No, I'm
fucking
saying
elbowed him in the eye. LeBron's a scumbag. I hate LeBron.
It was like more of a punch than an elbow.
And then after, he's like, I didn't do anything. He got suspended for it. I didn't do anything. I'm LeBron James. Blah.
Hey, so he didn't catch him with the elbow. I thought he got him with kind of just extended his forearm. I think he got it kind of with the back of his hand.
Him in the fucking face.
He gave him a backhand. He said, get the fuck out of my way, bitch. You're a fucking bench player. And I think that type of stuff, like elbows and arms are flying all the time in the NBA. I just think that it really gets magnified when it's LeBron. Now, him saying I didn't do anything, well, they, in the NBA, they go right to the video. So there's no denying it. They get to look over and over. Much like I think the NFL, right?
It gets nasty into the hoop, and in basketball it can be a physical sport.
Always gets nasty under the hoop.
That was a deliberate, fucking quick fucking punch to the face, man.
He kind of he gave it the look away and just kind of extended his arm quickly, like from about here to there, and that was enough to get him gouged up. Did he deserve to get tossed? I don't think it's like the worst thing I've ever seen on a basketball court. Not even close.
Well,
not even close.
The league has really cleaned things up as far as physicality the last 20 years. But
wait, you just what don't you like about? You just kind of don't like his presence. Like he doesn't live up to.
He's the most egotistical asshole. One of the biggest egotistical pricks in pro sports. He loves himself and he cares only about himself. And there's a million good things he's done off the court. He's changed people's lives. He's done some great stuff. But in terms of as a guy without knowing him, from what I see and the things he says, I think he's a complete loser.
Yeah, I used to be, I guess, a little harder on him, and then you give it some thought as to how much and how many cameras have been around for so long. So all we ever see is things magnified to either the very good or the very bad, and I don't know. I think given all things considered, he's lived a pretty squeaky clean life. For how things could have gone.
No doubt about that. Off the court, he has been, I guess you could say, a role model compared to a lot of other pro athletes.
But does he say things that I'm like, but it's like, fuck, imagine there was that many cameras in my face all the time.
This is a game, dude.
You'd hate my guts too, Whit.
What?
You hate it? You got to spend 2 hours on a podcast with me.
Nah, that was dirty as fuck. Speaking of superstar global athletes, your boy Tiger Woods back on the course.
Yes.
He pretty much broke the internet with a little clip of him hitting what looked to be maybe an 8-iron, maybe a 7-iron. I don't know. His swing looked great. It looked like he had a fake leg with this leg. I don't know, it wasn't a brace. It was definitely just one of those sleeves that he had on, but the swing looked great. For me, that makes me think he's thinking about the Masters. That's not until April. It's only November. So all of a sudden, if we can get Tiger back, I mean, the fact that he came back and won the Masters, the greatest comeback in sports history, from all the issues and all the terrible things that he did and had happened to him, if he were to come back from this car accident and win again, it would just not shock me because he's Tiger Woods. So that was great to see. Also, I loved seeing the fire from Rory McIlroy, who had, I think, a 2-shot lead going into the final round in Dubai, in the race for Dubai, the European Tour's kind of FedEx Cup Championship. I think he shot 74 in the final round, and there was no video of it, but there was an image taken where he basically Hulk Hogan or fucking the Incredible Hulk ripped his shirt in half in anger after blowing this tournament. Colin Morikawa, one of the biggest legends in golf, ended up winning it, the first American to ever win the race to Dubai. So McIlroy, and even winning, one of my buddies texted, how could you be that mad you made $300 million? I looked at it the other way. Good for him. He's got that much money. He's that much of a competitor. He's got that spirit, that fire in him. He'd be that pissed off that he blew this tournament after recently winning in Vegas. So Rory showed some pissed off anger and ripping his shirt off his own body after blowing a tournament. But Tiger was the big news. It's one of the funniest tweets was the PGA Tour announced that PIP program, like player incentivized program, where I think like 5 guys are getting $10 million each or something. Yeah. And somebody said Tiger just won the PIP by himself with one 10-second video of him hitting the 7-iron. Yeah. So
I knew where you were going. As soon as you said it, my brain took it there.
Attaboy, your brain's humming right now.
So he went Hulkster on his own shirt. He doesn't normally show that type of emotion. He's a pretty calm guy, isn't he?
Yeah, for the most part. He's shown anger before, but he chucked a club one time about 100 yards.
Maybe Ernie got him in the back or something.
Ernie headbutted him and ripped his shirt in half. It wasn't even Rory who did it to himself.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys are all done, before we wrap up, we do want to let you know once again, Black Friday is coming this Friday. Cyber Monday. We got a bunch of new stuff, some of the old stuff. G's got the NBD line. I got mine right here. My sweatshirt right here. Actually, I don't know where it went. I like the little skunk stripe. Is that what we call it? A skunk stripe, G, on the hood there?
It is, and the new NBD athletic sweatshirts.
Bacon strip.
Just
like
tons
your
of new
underwear,
shit.
I like the one I'm wearing, this Unreal stuff. Is unreal. UNRL. Ooh. It's phenomenal. Very comfortable. I guess it's golf gear, but you can wear it anywhere. Sick little hoodie action. There's so much stuff. Check it out. Friday starting at midnight. So I guess technically Saturday. But we have some fire merch that Grinelli's worked on. One of the things I got sent I love was the cigar case holder, the Pink Whitney cigar case holder.
You like that?
Grinelli, that thing is phenomenal. Go. Yeah, that thing's great. I didn't know we had that coming.
RA's got to hop in and
just to clarify what Friday midnight means, Friday, not Saturday, just FYI. So the Black Friday is...
I know, I said technically it is Saturday, though.
No, he's saying that it's Thursday when the clock hits 12.
Oh, I thought it was Friday and started Friday night at midnight. I apologize.
Okay, Biz.
That's
okay,
right.
You were right.
Yeah, mixing a water, Biz.
You were right.
A lot of cool accessories, though. Like you said, like we have skateboard decks, cigar holders, dog leashes. Like
we got the Christmas tree ornaments. This Pink Whitney hockey stick. I decided to hang it up on my Olympic jersey. Not a big deal. Silver medal.
When you can get me to wear a sweater, it's a nice sweater. I've never been a sweater guy, so
RA doesn't wear sweaters that are crew necks. He wears hoodies.
No, I don't wear any Biz. We got sweaters and sweatshirts are different things, and a hoodie's a sweatshirt. Like sweaters, it's the material. It's like this type of thing. I know some of the ugly sweaters have more of a sweatshirt material, but when I think sweater, I think of like going to East
like
Sunday.
Granny,
it's knit.
Dress nice.
Knit.
Yeah,
Granny
knit. There you go, G. There you go, G. Knit. So either way, we got a bunch of like old stuff, mostly new shit dropping. Grab it for your family, friends, anything. Black Friday, great sale coming. Boys, hell of an episode. 2 great interviews. Any final thoughts before we close up shop?
See ya, dude.
Works for me.
I got nothing. Great job,
see ya,
guys.
Dudes.
Great catching up, and check out Friday.
Friday.
Black
Gotta get down
Friday.
on Friday.
All right, peace.